Yeah, right.
All right, so we are on session 16 of Chris Strahd, with our last week having gone. I don't know how would you guys describe last week's game? Because it was
What a twist.
Mm, what a twist indeed.
right.
Well,
So
we got bamboozled,
you did.
which, it's a thing.
So to catch you guys up, I think last week was also a pretty short campaign, or for a campaign too. You all went down to back to Valaki, I should say. Went into the woods to try to sneak in, and did successfully sneak in uh, after Mir's attempt at getting into the town failed, but nonetheless, I guess technically he didn't really fail because he got the horses in. And that was what mattered the most, was making sure that the horses wouldn't stay outside while you all attempted to creep into the town of Kresk. The palisade walls, the wooden log palisade walls, were a small deterrent, but you remember through a conversation uh, with Zoldar that there was a shift in the guard post, and so it allowed you guys to scale it and descend it into the town of Lucky. And then you crept over to the Blue Water Inn and introduced Lydia to the Mardikovs, and they were kind of taken aback that you had found her in tow with Strasny. We haven't started on the following day, but you also you all kind of agreed to have the children, as well as Izek Strasny, escorted to the village of Kresk due to sunlight being active in the realm. And I think after that, you all decided to go to the St. Andrew's Church, where Stroppy ended up casting a divination spell, which is a 4th level spell. It can be done as a ritual, which for 30 minutes. In this sense, though, the group got to experience, well, not everyone, Astropi and Lucian got to experience the spectral vision that was Bahamut, encompassing part of the church. His head and shoulders were literally moved into the church from the walls and the ceiling, while everyone else failed their wisdom or their charisma saving throws and could not look upon his image. Up to and including when Mir tried to take a look through him through her mirror, only saw beaming light being reflected back into her eyes, as if looking at the sun. Where Stroppy received her vision, asking if the presumed Lady of Valaki, Lady Wachter, was a vampire, would she drink of the blessed wine? To which Bahamut responded in kind that yes, she would drink it, and that effectively turning the situation with Lady Wachter into a red herring from the note that was received by the writer.
Yeah, he said she would drink it and nothing would happen. And this was consecrated wine that we had blessed,
Indeed.
assuming it would injure her.
Indeed. You also learn through Lucian that she, to some degree, is a priestly woman. And that experience kind of, I don't really know how to describe it. It was, I don't know, would you describe it as like a punch in the gut, kind of, or?
It left us shook.
It did.
I thought it was pretty stupid.
Yeah. It angered some of us too.
We also spied on the Wachter house.
Yeah.
Before
You
we
did,
went
that's
to the
right.
church.
Yes, before you went to the church, I guess it would make sense to lead up the church with that you had spied on the Wachter house, and that Jim's Sodback, aka James Woodman, turned into his crafty, spindly spider self and was able to access the basement of the Wachter house, of which I keep like transmitting to talk and I hard click on the map accidentally.
No, we're just all pinging. It's fine.
Right. So Jim Sodback got down to the basement where he heard a passphrase. You remember what that is, Sam?
Um. May the dead rest. May the dead keep on resting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Something to that
I have
effect.
to go back and look.
I will recall using the Twitch spell at some point.
Mm-hmm. So you discovered there was some kind of magic at work through means of passing, perhaps safely, through the basement. A false wall was shown along the east or western wall of the basement. It was a fake passage. You were able to sneak into it, and you discovered some kind of ritual that was going on in the room with 4 figures sitting uh, in front of a pentagram. And then you left shortly after you sent your message via the tattoo there. And then you went to the church. And so although you know now that you also saw Lady Wachter walk down the basement stairs and into the room itself. So now knowing
she used the password to go into the secret room full of creepy people talking about long life.
Power and promises and
Yeah.
all sorts of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The start to any good tale, really.
Indeed. So you also learned that, I guess from there, that's when you went to the church, the St. Andrew's Church. And though you discovered through the vision that Bahamut was able to reveal that Lady Wachter would drink of it and not suffer its ill effects, you do see some kind of malevolent evil occurring down there. You're not quite sure what it is. And you are all still in Velaki.
All right.
We ended the game last week with you all getting outside of the St. Andrew's Church, unless you want to retcon and perhaps say something else to Lucian before you left. He had handed Astropi 2 potions, if I recall correctly, a potion of heroism and a greater healing. If I'm not mistaken, I think you wrote those 2 down.
Yes.
And now you're standing outside of Velaki near the graveyard, where a low mist hovers.
What time is it? Time of day?
It's about, well, you spotted the Wachter house and then got done with the church, so it's about midday. You know that Kowal and Claudia and Izek and the children are going to be leaving tomorrow morning, first thing.
And they're headed back to Kresk? Or...
They're going to the village of Kresk, yes.
Okay.
They're going to be doing a little sightseeing, you could say. Cobal and Claudia, I think, would be a good idea to show the kids sunlight, and
That's right.
subsequently, it would be safe to transport Izek in Cobal's custody. You guys feel comfortable that he would get Izek Strasny to Kresk to serve his punishment as dictated by Ismark.
So, I should have asked Lucian about this.
We can also retcon since you probably just go back inside anyways.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a read on... I mean, there's clearly something sinister going on with Lady Wachter. Obviously, I didn't like her in the first place because of her support of Strahd. And the cult whatever nonsense going on in her basement is only making that worse. But I'm wondering like how the town is faring under her so far. All we really know is kind of what the guards said when we first got here, and it's hard to really get a read on whether or not things are better or worse than they were before. Like we've kind of been
Yeah.
operating under the assumption that things are worse and that this is like some new tyrant, and obviously we had a lot of other assumptions. Um, I guess I'm just wondering like how bad this is. I mean, I guess we have enough grounds at this point to go in and maybe even just start demanding answers, but it would be nice if we could find a way to get the village themselves to unseat her, or at least to understand why we're going to unseat her.
Give me an insight check.
Sure.
Anyone else is proficient, you can roll it. I don't know how many of you would be.
24.
Okay, 24 is definitely the number. You're able to glean the things. So throughout your stay here at Vallaki, you have noticed though that no Barovian is in the stockades. You're also unsure if that would change. What you do know for certain is that there is this sense of tension that's still kind of permeating throughout town. Exactly where it's coming from or why you're unsure. You can probably assume that because the the perceived what I would assume that you guys perceive her as a temporary steward until a more appropriate leader is installed. You can perhaps assume that maybe the tension is a combination of their fear now that the Baron is no longer in rule. This more of a chaotic element happening here, and also the fears and many assumptions of how Lady Wachter might rule. There's a lot. You sense a bit of anticipation, as well as a lot of tension happening in town. This is a Vallaki. This feels still very much like a powder keg ready to go off, and you sense that all throughout town, everywhere you've been, with the exception of St. Andrew's Church and Blinsky's Toys, for obvious reasons. When people go to supplicate at the church, their tension is alleviated a bit, and toys and children
Blinsky.
just
Duh.
go hand in hand. Yeah, and Blinsky is doing a phenomenal job uh, it, trying to establish, increase, and heighten the morale of the town just through being himself and through his imaginations, which with these constructs that he's crafting. So that's with year 24. That is what you kind of sense throughout town. I hope that's
Okay.
good enough.
Sure. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right.
And I'm assuming, of course, at some point you'd be able to convey this to everyone else, or at least they would all kind of get the same semblance of feeling in terms of like how Astropi is perceiving this. Maybe Mirror, you also kind of came to that conclusion a little bit, and Astropi helped you along with her insight check, but you kind of felt firmly that your beliefs aligned with the way that she felt as well.
Well, here, I might as well throw my insight.
Oh yeah,
pot.
Jim, you and Astropi are kind of finishing each other's sentences on describing the town, where Mira is kind of also popping in, but hers is peppered. Where Howland, you're just, I guess, in this case, simply absorbing their current wisdom. Maybe perhaps appropriately, the vision and what you heard flustered Howland to the point where perhaps he wasn't able to gather that same insight, or perhaps he's just a little frustrated, which kind of makes sense here, given the nature of your role.
Who are you calling little?
Uh. Well, I guess we have. I mean, we have a couple of options. We can confront Lady Wachter now, or investigate the den now, or we could wait for her to address the town and kind of gather more information and see what her plan is, see if we can glean any information about what her next move is for the town. We could try to figure out who her council is, who these people are in the basement.
I
Yeah.
want to go back down there.
uh, Jim definitely wants a piece, but he's still pretty unsure about everything.
What's so Astrapi is kind of at a loss for what to do here. She's had this big revelation dropped on her. She's gonna turn it to Mir, who's, they've got the most experience together, and Mir has a little bit more experience, in particular with specific, targets and intel gathering and whatnot. And just ask Mir, what do you think we should do here? What would be your next move? Oh, you're muted, I think.
Oh yeah, you're
Oh,
muted.
yeah, okay. So we need to be very careful about entering the Walker house directly. We aren't supposed to be here to begin with. And if we're trying to rally people behind somebody we support, if it comes to light that, something happens in there, she's killed, we get caught, we're already in the commission of a crime. It's going to lower support, I think. I think it would be good to glean from people we trust in town what the situation is for sure. And also maybe she's dealing with some, lieutenants or something else that's going on. I think that our best course of action is to gather what intel we can to support our case and present it at the meeting.
So we have one day.
Half a day.
Yeah, half a day.
Well, we should probably gather some information about who, we know that she killed some townspeople already. We should find out who she killed and for what reasons. She's killing bandits or rioters. Can't really do anything about that, right? But if she's killing somebody who's innocent, that can be used as leverage.
She's killing people that the rest of the townspeople wanted to see dead. I'm not sure what we can do about that.
Exactly. I mean, this is their town. I think we should start probably with Lucian. They would have been buried here. He would have known the nature of their crimes.
Who else has she been killing? I mean, other than whoever she had to kill in the coup.
I was under the impression that she had killed people. Like, that's why she wasn't using the stockades. She was killing people.
I didn't get that. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Does anyone else?
Okay, then
remember?
maybe I misremember
No,
hearing that, but
I kind of got that feeling, but
I just assumed people not in the stockades because the Baron isn't putting people in the stockades because he's gone. He was the one putting people in stockades and keeping people afraid and arresting people for unhappiness or whatever. But I think they've traded one evil for another, and it could be worse.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't a picnic I witnessed.
Yeah, you didn't break into
in the basement.
PTA meeting or something. That was pretty bad.
No.
so does the meeting go on tomorrow? tomorrow, the town
Mhm.
meeting.
It does.
Why don't we, if these cultists are meeting in there, why don't we wait and follow the cultists, and then after they leave, they've got to be going somewhere.
You mean trail the people who leave the basement, the Wachter house?
Yeah, we know that they were involved in that whatever bid for power that she's putting out there. She's promising them power. She's
I
doing
wonder
it.
if any of you could track uh from the exit that we saw to any kind of residence or anything like that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, at this point, after hearing that, Jim's like, he kind of looks up at Astropi and is just like, I think we could figure that out.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I would assume Mir and Howland are probably experienced at tailing people too. But yeah, we can try that. So do we want to just head back to the Wachter house and keep it under surveillance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead and give me all of your like how do you guys want to play this? Does somebody want to pretend they're standing around? Do people want to hide? What do you guys want to be doing while you're waiting? I'll accept deception checks, persuasion checks, stealth checks, given the nature of if you want to like say for example if Howland you want to pretend that you're just kind of like loitering nearby without drawing suspicion. I need to see a deception check. Astrabi, if you're going to perhaps ask for donations to help St. Andrew's Church, I'd need to see a persuasion check. Is there anything you guys are thinking about doing, or you guys just want to hide?
Well, Howland's gonna do what he's best at, which is stealth. So
All right. So you kind of try to.
he's
As
just
soon
gonna
as you guys
not be
get-
noticed.
Okay, so you guys, I guess we should make our way over there near the Wachter house. So how far away do you want to like from the house? What direction are you thinking? Or I guess in this case, close to the cellar, so you'd be near the back of the house, closer to the palisades, along the northeast wall. What is everyone else doing? Are they you guys all following in suit with Howland, trying to hide in the bushes and gardens around the area that are near low shrubs and trees, or this Valaki, despite the trees nearby, like Valaki is actually heavily vegetative. Kresk a little more so.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
ask about this area. Like, is that somebody's yard, or could I just be like,
There are a bunch of ramshackle huts and perhaps some small little outhouses too nearby.
can you see the Wachter house from there?
Yes, if you're like parking yourself here, you can definitely see the Wachter house from there.
Can either of you? I'm talking to Jim and Astropi have done the majority of our tracking thus far. If it looks like they might have already left.
That's good.
Yeah, I guess kind of like camping here.
Okay.
Jim kind of wants to try to make some determinations about like the frequency of tracks into the house, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, give me a survival check. Okay,
Nice.
Bam.
25. Wow, that literally was the DC. You beat it. And to give you a little more on that, the criteria was high traffic areas. And then given that it rained, like all these add like +5 to the DC or whatever. So 25 was it, and to the tracking in the front of the house, anyways. So yeah, you are able to discern a particular tracks recent leading south.
Okay.
And they're pathing from the back of the house. So maybe as you're kind of moving north up to this spot over here, you kind of see these tracks emanating from the side of the house, and they move kind of in front of you and beyond you and to the back, and they lead. But you're able to match them almost as if they're prints from a heavier set individual.
I think, let's see, is anybody nearby to Jim? Because like if anybody can see me, I'm gonna.
You're
try
all
to,
within you're all within like 250 feet of each other at this point, roughly. So that's definitely within vision.
All right. Well, Jim's just gonna start meandering kind of southward and attempt to keep up with I don't know where he you know
The red
where
is
he
where you
thinks
see
they
your
would go
track
to.
taking you.
All right.
All right, are we following Jim then?
Yeah,
I think we should follow him.
Let's do
I'm
it.
just tailing it like 30 feet back, discreetly.
Jim loses it a little while, and then he finds it again.
Sniffing the cobblestones.
Yep.
So it stops up here, near the southern gate, and on the ground you see 2 additional sets of footprints from 2 people, and then path goes back up north. And stops there.
Hmm.
Where did the 2 sets of prints come from? They just appeared at the end of this set of prints?
Yeah. No, they didn't appear. Sorry. Those prints came from the southern gate.
I see. Guards, maybe?
Hmm.
Or people coming into town?
You see a kid dancing around the area. Looks like it's playing with a Blinsky toy that looks like a mirror.
Astrape will go and approach the kid.
The kid looks up at you, awestruck, and drops the toy. Kind of.
She takes a knee to kind of get down closer to his level and says, "It's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. I just I wanted to know if I could ask you a question. I like your toy. Did Blinsky make that?"
She nods, looking up at you.
What's your name?
Bella.
Bella, nice to meet you. I'm Astrapi. Tell me, did you see people walking by here recently? Maybe 2 people from the gate there, and did they meet up with maybe somebody coming up this road here? And I kind of like point to the direction from where we came from. Say it would have been really recent.
She nods. Yeah.
What did they look like?
Vistani?
The Vistani came in from the gate?
Yes.
Did you see who they met up with? What did that person look like?
She vaguely describes. Give me 1 second here. She vaguely describes one man with a mustache that transforms into a goatee that's to a point and has long hair, and another man who looks like he has a meaner face and a thicker beard, and his hair is short to medium. And he's that Vistani she describes as a big man, almost as big as the same tracks you see from the person you've been tailing here, but very different.
So, they were all 3 Vistani?
No, only 2.
Okay. Thank you very much for your help. You've been
Bella,
very
what are you
brave.
doing? Get over it. As you start to, kind of say that, you hear a voice coming from a distance far away. It's a older, grim-looking Barovian who's kind of furrowing his brows. So, what have I told you about talking to foreigners? Come here. And he gets her back inside the house and just kind of stares at all of you guys as menacingly as the Barovian could and closes the door behind him into his house.
All right. I'll just head back over to the party, I guess. And let them know. Whoever it was met with 2 Vistani. coming in from the southern gate. Mean-looking ones. Potentially spies of Strahd, would be my guess. So we should be careful where this trail ends.
Should we spy upon the spies?
I think so. It's up to you, but it's up to you guys. But I don't see why not.
You, as you're nearby, Howland, give me a stealth check. You see Ernest Larnack exiting that house. I'm rolling his perception. Give me 1 second.
Oh shit.
God damn it.
Do you want me to re-roll my stealth too?
No, you're good. He does not see you. I rolled a 7, so even with perception, he would not be able. He's not expertise in it. He does not see you. He heads north uptown and then kind of disappears out of your sight.
That was one of those moments where you just stopped in the middle of the street and he just kind of looked past you anyway.
I think that's
Yeah.
what happened. Yeah.
His
That
mind
was a
is
3 roll. I have 11 stealth.
Wow, that's nice.
nice.
That's awesome. Yeah,
His,
no.
his mind is just preoccupied with too many things. He's
Yeah,
not paying attention.
It's
And then
dark and foggy.
I
like
point out to the rest of the party who that is in case they didn't remember.
And this was
That's
the
the guy
guy
from the
leaving
Bogner house.
this house or the house that we're outside here?
The house that the trail ends at. You can
Okay.
see from quite a bit of ways away.
Can I see if his prints match the ones we've been following?
They do not.
Okay.
Looks like he arrived to his location separately.
So the prints leading from Ernst's house are not his prints.
Yeah, the trail we followed from Wachter House to here are not his. They're more heavy set.
Correct.
They met up with 2 Vistani and then headed into whatever this house is that we're looking at the end of the trail here.
Correct.
So just look to Mirror and say, hey, what do we do?
Let's talk to Ernst.
Talk to
I don't
Ernst?
think we should talk to him.
I don't think he's like Lady Wachter's right-hand man. You want to
He
just grab
struck
him?
me as when we first met him. He struck me as jaded and weak, but you know he.
He made an offer to me. Specifically to me. Without all of you knowing. That heavily implied... Alright, I'm just gonna say, he asked me to assassinate the Burgomaster. With them.
This is the first time you guys are hearing about this, obviously, by the way.
Well, then why'd we go to the Wachter House before? I thought the whole reason we went there was because you told us that this guy talked to you.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Why
was...
else-
Hold on.
Why else
There's
would we have gone there?
two things happen here, right? One, he invited them first. He talked to Howland and invited him first to the Wachter House. When you guys went, he met up with Howland afterwards and said, hey, the meeting didn't go so well, obviously.
Oh.
But if you're still interested, ABC.
I'm sorry. I was thinking this was the gravedigger guy.
Oh,
Oh, no.
Pillage-
No,
okay.
no.
Okay. Okay.
Wilovich, no.
This is the rogue guy.
This
Yeah.
is the rogue.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he spoke in Thieves' Cant in the tavern when you guys first met. Had a full-on conversation with Howland.
There might still be an opportunity for Howland to talk to this guy. Maybe get a
Maybe. I don't know.
read on Lady Wachter out of him. I mean, if that was after she kicked us out, we didn't do anything after that to like further upset or
This is true.
you know what I mean? All we did was basically rescue the Kolianas from the Burgomaster and leave.
I will say that he was pretty cool towards me. Cool in the not warm. Did not like me because of how our party handled the meeting.
Right. And he wouldn't have any use for you anymore because the Baron's already dead, so maybe...
We
maybe
can
there's
check
no-
his house if he's gone.
Well, he came out of this place that we're going to.
Correct.
So this building we're looking at, what does this building look like?
It's kind of a slumped one-story building that looks long. Nothing is really interesting about it except that it has this slump, kind of almost a similar disgusted look with itself as does the Wachter House.
Like the
Only
Wachter
with a
House.
lower profile because the Wachter House is a sort of a mansion and this one is just a humble home which has deteriorated greatly but still stands.
I think we should see what's up with this house.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as you guys are approaching, you notice that it's the house looks more elegant. Actually, it's despite its slumped features, kind of almost as if it's disdained with itself. It actually looks like a really nice house. There's a small fountain outside that dribbles a little bit of water from the top of what looks to be some kind of fish. It has a nice garden surrounding it, natural bush type lawn that encircles the house itself with a couple of openings near the side, back and front. Uh, the dis the look at the distance was not as immaculate as it is now upon your approach. And the front door looks to be closed. There's a small little flight of stairs that lead up to it, a long patio. It looks like with two rocking chairs nearby and some table. You see some remnants of perhaps smoking materials and such. Some of the Barovians have been. There are very few Barovians you've seen with access to tobacco, and this is one of them.
So whoever this is pretty well off. Or at least well connected.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, you see another man step out of the house. Only this one looks like a cowly individual. This Barovian does not match the type of persona you'd assume would come from these heavyset footsteps. Instead, it looks like a smaller, weaker-willed Barovian who looks concerned upon leaving, not in a sense of a worried look as if he's about to get caught, but he just looks like the type of person that would have anxiety and stress about almost everything that would exist. And he moves north of the road. But where Ernst Larnack split right and went east into Barovia, he moves west.
Helen's gonna tail him.
Sure.
Yeah, Astropi's gonna nudge Mir and say, "That one looks weak, doesn't he?"
Yeah, and with that, Mir just starts circling towards the back of the houses.
Jim kind of giggles after hearing the comment.
So you're telling the man he's near St. Andrew's Church in a small home there. Only this one does not look nearly as immaculate as the last one. Almost as if this humbly abode belongs to him. He saunters up the porch, sits down on a small chair, and just kind of overlooks the road and observes as some Barovians pass by, disinterested.
Helen's going to attempt to sneak up on him, or approach him directly, but hopefully take him by surprise.
Sure, go ahead. Hold on, let me roll this. Oh man, even with his high perception check, does not beat. So you're literally able to get in within his garden, his small little garden, sneak up onto his porch, and you're standing maybe 2 feet from his right. He just does not notice you. Mir, you see this. You see him just kind of like walk up, and the dude's just looking. I mean, to the point where like he looks right, and then a normal man would see like Howland in his peripheral vision, maybe, but this man doesn't. He just kind of like looks and then scans the other side.
So yeah, I'm like leaning back against the wall, and I'm looking out at the same, pathway.
You hear
That
gentle,
he is, and I'm-
you hear gentle whine from him. He's like,
When
So when he does that, Helen's just says, he just interjects, "Something on your mind?"
and you see him kind of pull back from his chair, and he throwing his chair aside. What? And he holds his chest for a moment, catching his breath.
Helen's just like grinning at him.
What are you doing here?
Just observing, just like you.
What does that mean? Do not be cryptic.
Are you worried about something?
Yes, like all Barovians, we are worried.
I'm not talking about all Barovians. I'm talking about you.
Yes, I suppose.
Now, why might that be, I wonder?
What should I tell you? Foreigner, you should actually just get off my property.
Well, you see, I have a problem too.
He starts getting a little nervous.
You see, well, let me ask a question first. How do you feel about the town right now? How do you feel about Valaki?
I'm not sure.
Are you safer now than you were a week ago?
No, not really. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not smart enough man to decide. What? Why do you ask?
How do you feel about the Lady Voctor?
She is a good woman. He says it loud.
Huh. Okay.
Lady Walker is fine. She will be a fine leader.
This dude's terrified.
That's yeah.
She will be perfect leader.
So I turn and also look outwards and kind of like in the same tone of voice go like, yes, Lady Wachter will be amazing. I turn back to him and I wink.
What do you? He kind of looks around and see if anybody else noticed it and doesn't really spot anybody. So what are you getting at? I've
Do you know anything about what's going on at the Wachter house?
no.
Is he lying?
Go outside. Probably.
Can I have Mir slip? I want to slip like sneak around the corner, so I just kind of come up on the side of the porch.
All right, yeah. Go ahead and roll stealth.
He's
Your
not a very
17 was
good
a
liar.
long time ago, so yeah. Yeah, you're able to like creepy crawl over his porch and like stand like 2 feet behind him if you want. I don't know where you want to position yourself, but if you'd like, that's how close you can.
I want to be like, because this is like a raised porch. I just want to be like right at the corner of the house with like my head looking like in between the slats of the rails.
Okay, yeah. You see like maybe the top of his shoulder as he's looking down at Howland.
Yeah.
And you see, Howland's full profile. Howland can see you, but he doesn't make it a motion to look or give you away.
And then I just say, my friend, would you be interested in a drink to help you relax?
Oh, he looks over.
A bottle of wine.
He looks over startled. He says, "What? Roll persuasion." Sure. Sure, yes.
Helen also smiles and nods.
So Mir like walks up to the porch and
What kind of wine?
I'm sorry?
What? Is it wine?
Oh, of course, my friend.
Sorry, I had a character. That is what you said, right? You just offered him wine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I show him a bottle of Red Dragon Crush, and I kind of shake it.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Oh, well, let's go inside and have a drink, my friend.
At your persuasion check, he seems like that would be a good idea.
So while this is going on, Astropi's kind of still down the street, maybe at the corner watching.
Yes.
Rather than get in there and fuck it up and scare him even more, She's gonna just kind of calmly walk past towards the church, and not pay any attention to what's going on at the on the porch there,
Okay.
and just calmly kind of go into the churchyard. Just be
Okay. Yeah. You have sight of them within the churchyard, Jim. If you want to follow, you were able to get a good sight as well.
Yeah, I'm just
Um,
gonna find maybe a grave or something to kneel by and just sort of look like I'm, maybe saying some prayers or just
Okay.
visiting the graves, just very
Doing
calmly.
cleric stuff.
Yeah, just doing cleric stuff.
Sure.
Got my book
we
out. I'm going through my book.
Give me a religion check, just as as you're sitting there, kind of maybe looking
Ooh.
haphazard or haphazardly looking through the scriptures that you're reading. All right.
I-
It's fine. I mean, it's
Reading is hard. Let's be real.
no. Maybe you're looking for, you just can't find the scripture you're looking for at the exact moment. But it's just
She's reading
Yeah.
the headstones and doesn't understand any of them.
okay.
I like to imagine that Astropi's like prayer book is like Bahamut for children, right? It's just like all pictures.
It's
Yeah.
all. I don't even know if I would have a book because it's all oral tradition, like passed down through a clan and
Oh,
stuff.
that's true, huh?
So,
Maybe
like,
maybe
her
you're just
book-
recalling on your. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like her book would be. I mean, obviously you have a spell book, so I guess I could be going through that and keeping track of like various, and it's all probably like different, like her clan's interpretation of spells and like how to basically invoke Bahamut's will like in this way.
Stick figure dragons like
'cause-
doing the proper hand motions.
Whatever it is, right? Sure. And so, yeah, I guess in this respect, I would just mostly be kind of touring the graves and reading them and stuff.
Sure.
Maybe cleaning them off.
And Jim, what about you? What are you doing as this is all going down?
So, how many heads did we count coming out of the house? Two?
Two. And you know for sure that given your 25 survival check that there is still another in that house, at least.
All right, all right.
You're taking a bit more on with the setting in front of the house. It looks really nice. I mean, it's completely elegant.
Well, Jim wants to get a closer look, and he's going to use a wild shape and become a spider once more.
All right, so you're gonna go into the house.
And yeah, he's gonna creepy crawly his way along, maybe under the door and then up toward the ceiling.
All right, as you're doing that, give me a stealth check, just for.
This is my stealth as a spider.
All right, this first room you're in looks like a generic living room. I mean, generic. It looks like a living room. It's elegant. It's got nice red seats that are wood mahogany. It kind of has the same style that the Death House had. But given that this is one of the very few Barovian homes you've been in, every single one has the same style of the Death House. Very luxurious, elegant, but at the same time with color, drab, dull, and dark.
It's got that like weird blood vine wallpaper thing going on.
Not as intense. Yes, you do see the vines, but almost like a representation of wine versus the Death House, which was actual, like you saw skulls in the vines. And these ones, a closer look, you don't suspect any of that.
All right.
Give me another stealth check for the next room you go in, because you hear and see some light coming from a room nearby.
Yeah.
Right.
Much better.
You see a man writing a note, and after a moment, when he's finishing penning it, he folds it, or I should say scrolls it, then stamps it.
Do I recognize the seal?
The seal looks to be the seal of the Locky. Just off a cursory glance, you're not exactly sure. You have to get close. After he seals the parchment in a scroll, he puts it in a tube nearby, rests it on the table, and he hears something in the kitchen fall. And he turns to look and goes to the kitchen. He leaves the room.
All right. Jim is going to maintain a high vantage point.
Keep doing spider things.
Yeah,
All right.
for the next couple minutes. Just wants to see what happens for now.
Sure. In the meantime, back to the house. Amir and Howland, you're able to persuade this young or I guess average age Barovian man to come into his home. His wife and children are kind of huddled near one of their dinner tables. He snaps at the kid and tells him to go upstairs. And the wife kind of passively and very submissively goes to the kitchen to perhaps prepare something.
Okay, so to be clear, so I understand. So we thought it was a one-story house, and then when we got there, it's an elegant two-story now.
No, the house that Jim is at is the elegant one-story Barovian one. This
Okay,
one,
okay,
you
okay.
guys just walked up to the stairs. You know it to be a two-story house from the outside.
Gotcha.
It doesn't look as elegant as the other house, though. Sorry, just to be clear, and I'll have to keep emphasizing that because it is a lot of information. So, but yeah, he brings you into the foyer beyond the vestibule to his dinner table. The wife brings out a few cheeses and some dry bread crackers, and then immediately leaves upstairs without saying a word. The husband says, "Here, besides a drink, why are you here? I'm not sure. Seems like I could trust you, but what is going on here?"
Yeah, it's just me and my friend here have some questions.
Like what? What do you have in mind?
We just want to know more about what's going on with the Lady Wachter. See if it lines up with what we know. Are you sure that you feel safe? We won't tell anybody about what we talked to you about.
I'm not sure. Maybe, perhaps not.
Perhaps not.
While he's doing this, Mir has pulled her dagger out and is slowly and methodically peeling the wax off of the top of the bottle.
Sure.
And opening it.
Are you trying to use that as like an intimidation check, or?
No, just so I have a knife out.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, yeah. He says, I'm not sure. Lady Walker's plans for Vallaki are different. It might work. I'm not sure.
What are her plans?
Oh, why should I tell you?
My friend.
We just want.
Perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot. And Mir starts pouring glasses. She says, my name is Charmbeer Kima. May I ask yours?
He says, do not fool me, foreigner. I know your name. Everyone in town knows all of you. Do you take me for a stupid man?
Then you would know that we do have, we have good intentions.
Do you?
That we're not here to hurt you.
I'm not sure of your intentions. Perhaps you're just using it to get ahead.
That's reasonable.
Mir takes a sip of her drink and slides him his.
He takes a sip and joins you. Thank you.
So we saw something under the Wachter house. People being promised power and long life.
Do you
by the
mean?
lady.
What?
It didn't look right to us. Would you know anything about that? Has anybody
No.
been making any deals?
No, why would I know? I would not know anything about deals. Uh, I just got back from Andre's home. I have not been dealing. Are you trying to get me punished or something? He starts getting a little uneasy.
Quite the opposite, my friend.
I would never do anything to blaspheme the name of Lady Wachter in Strahd. He is our lord.
What were you doing with Andre?
He was he was speaking of being on council of Valaki, and he convinced me a long time ago to support him should uh, should something happen to the Baron.
What kind of man is Andre?
Uh, he is man of strong heart. Uh, he is he hated the Baron. The Baron punished his son. Uh, he's a strong man.
I understand. The Baron definitely, I feel, acted rashly, shall we say. But do we just lose somebody here? No, we're good. Oh, we lost Chris. The Baron definitely acted rashly, my friend. But we have it on good information that there are promises of power being laid out by Lady Wachter.
That if that is collusion, that is punishable by death.
From what we understand, these people are led to believe that there's some sort of
I lost internet for a while.
To catch you up real quick. Mir was talking to him about the Baron's decisions being a little irrational. The man conveyed that the person's house he was at was named Andre, and Andre was convincing him that the Baron was bad, and that if there was a position on a council among the town, should the Baron be deposed, that he would like to be there and he would like his support. You also learned that, gosh, what did I just say a minute ago?
Wait, so the person, like Andre said this?
No, the man who you're speaking to is referring to the house that Jim is in. That man is named Andre. He's one of the four other men that were in, or four other people that were in the Walker house. He's saying that he led him to believe for a long time that the Baron should be deposed, and that if he was, there would be a special council where he would rule. And when Miriam suggested that it's all been like under collusion, he said that would be punishable by death.
It seems, my friend, to me that there are promises of power being made under the guise even of some sort of sorcery. And it seemed nefarious, to say the least. Now, my question is Andre the type of man that would be seduced by this power?
He thinks long and hard about Andre and says, I'm not sure. At first I thought no, but now I'm confused. I do not know what to think. He starts losing his confidence. Being able to judge Andre.
I wonder if perhaps your people have known only tyranny in your lives, and now you're saddled with another tyrant.
Oh, well. He looks down and he says, I guess so. She does want this, but. Mm. He starts, like, in his mind weighing the certain things that he thinks he knows.
If you were to have a better life here, how would you envision it?
Guess I'm not sure. Less death would be nice. More wine. More dream pastries.
I see. Perhaps a world where you don't need dream pastries would be even better.
Yes, but if we are talking about things that could actually happen, that is not one of them, yes?
We've brought the light to Kresk.
So I've heard. What is sunlight going to give me? The headache?
I think it shows you that a better life is possible. A better world is possible.
Perhaps.
And it all starts with you, the people.
You're right.
You have to choose a better way, a way with less death.
But we don't know about. Well, I know about Valaki, but I'm not sure how others feel about her. I know what she will do to the town. He starts getting a little open with his words now that you're drinking him. Or you're getting him drunk, rather.
Right. And Mir says to him, what are your feelings about Lydia?
Lydia was a wonderful woman. She always invited my wife to the burgomaster's mansion for dinner once a month, or once every moon.
It would seem to me that perhaps Lydia, with the help of...
But it is too late. Lydia is dead. The Lady Wachter said the wolves killed her.
Did you see her die?
Well, no, but why would the Lady Wachter lie?
Humor me, my friend. What if would you trust Lady Lydia to lead your town?
I don't believe I have a choice. She is by blood forced to live in Rule Town. But she is dead. Should not think about playing tricks on Barovians. We are smart enough to see through them. Well, if not one of us will.
We're not
Wine
playing
is
tricks.
Yeah, wine is a sacred thing, and Mir kind of swirls her glass, and she looks at him kind of pointedly, and just says, I think before you fully support Andre, you should attend the town meeting and see if perhaps a better candidate emerges.
Oh, okay, perhaps.
And Mir kind of looks to Hallen to see if he has anything he wants to ask him.
Howland in Thieves' Cant. So I don't expect him to pick this up, but I say I think we just caught her in her first lie. But and then I just kind of like smile and take a sip of wine.
Jim, after a moment, the burly man comes back, grabs the scroll, and puts it in his bag and begins to leave the house.
All right. Jim takes a quick cursory glance around the room
Mm-hmm.
just to examine any other possible points of interest.
At a glance, nothing. You'd have to get obviously closer. Take you time to travel to the desks, but from where you're at, you don't see anything.
All right. Well then, Jim begins trying to track the man out of the house.
Yeah, he heads south. He heads south out of town. Not
South
south. He heads northeast.
northeast into town.
Yes, from your location, the red.
Hmm. All right.
Uh,
All right. Jim stays. Yeah, he's gonna go ahead and call off his track and try to meet back up with the group if he can.
Sure.
Returning to his druid form.
All right, so you guys are back in the house. Still checking this guy. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, so Mir just asked him, is it seems that I get the sense that Lady Wachter kills those who displease her. Am I wrong in this feeling?
No, she will. I think perhaps. I'm not sure. She has. Andre tells me she speaks of flagellation, patient cells, people who talk ill upon Strahd or upon her, um, get put into these for punishment.
Well, I think, my friend, it would be best to keep this conversation between us friends.
I'm not sure what. I will not tell other Barovians that I talk to foreigners, so there should be no problem.
And with that, Mir kind of raises her glass to him and says, "From death, life." And she like cheers at him.
He cheers, and then takes a drink. Says, "Thank you for coming.
Thank you for sharing your food, my friend."
Thank you for the wine. I appreciate it.
You've been a help.
I'm glad. Just let me know next time. Don't sneak up on me. I get scared too easily." He grimly closes the door behind him as you guys leave. Don, did you get that message?
Oh. Yes, I did. I did see it. So, obviously nobody else would know this, but yeah, I just sort of, I don't respond. Kind of, Astropi just kind of gets this chill, as she hears this, and, tries to shake it off.
What did she hear?
So I mean, I figure I'll go over it when I see you guys, rather than
Okay.
go over it.
Yeah, you see them. You see them step out of the house. Jim kind of convenes in the middle of the road with them, and you all see kind of Astropi kneeling down at the church. Maybe she stands up for a moment and looks to the sky. Her brows probably furrowed, and then she kind of sees you all on the road at a distance.
So seeing that they've just come out of the house, um, I see them all come out, and I guess I'll just beckon them over.
All right, well, I saddle up that direction.
Yeah, Jim trundles over.
Um, when you guys get into range, Astropi looks shook a little bit. And she's still looking around, and she says, I just heard the devil.
Jim looks really concerned and says, "What? What did he say?"
All he said was, "You're late." I think he was trying to figure out my location, but he could not. What did you learn from the Barovian?
It seems that he's being Andre's trying to gain support for some sort of council that he's speaking of. I think that this is what they were meeting about in the basement.
A council
He also
would be good for the town, wouldn't it?
not of Lady Walker's choosing. I think a council would be a good idea, but she's promising them long life and dark powers. He also did mention, though, that he would support Lady Walker, but I'm sorry, Lady Lydia, but Lady Walker has told the town that she's dead. Furthermore, Lady Lydia has a blood right to rule Valaki.
So it wouldn't be that hard to convince the Barovians here to support her. In fact, they may have simply given up hope, thinking that she was dead.
That's what it sounded like from him.
If Lady Wachter told everybody that Lydia was dead, and then we showed up with her, it would be the most obvious indictment of her that we could possibly have, because it just means that she lied to everyone.
I agree.
Did you learn anything else about Lady Wachter's plans? Anything about this council or what she is preparing to do to this town?
Jim mentions his foray into the rather adorned house, and says he saw a man carry a sealed letter northeast into the town, likely toward the Wachter house.
Did you see the Vistani?
I saw no Vistani. I don't believe it was the Vistani.
There should have been 2 Vistani in that house.
Well, they walked out and split up. There was only one person in the house.
Oh, I missed when they left, apparently. Because the guy who split, well, the 2 people that we saw leave the house were Ernst and the guy that Chris and Shin were just talking to.
Okay.
So as far as
Got
we
it.
knew, there was the heavy set guy that we trailed from the Wachter house and 2 Vistani that he met up with that went into that home. But who knows where they were, I guess.
I thought that there was 3 total people in the house and that 2 of them had left, and there was just 1 in the house. That was my understanding when I went in.
That's correct.
What happened to the 2 Vistani?
Oh,
think they
those
went-
2 were here. Should put like markers.
Yeah,
So
I
those
thought
2 were
I-
here, and then they went south.
Yeah, okay.
They came from the south and went south.
Oh,
Sorry,
I thought they went
my bad. I did not convey that. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought they followed the rest of the, I thought they met up and then all went to the house together.
My bad.
No, I think
I
they
was
met
assuming
up
there
there
was
and
2
talked about
Vistani
something.
plus whoever else. Oh, okay.
That was my bad then. I did not convey that correctly.
Oh, okay.
They
I am
met at
much
the
less
south
confused
gate.
now.
And then left.
Okay. Yeah,
I see.
I got that they were not there anymore.
I guess
I
'cause you
didn't
went
know
in
where they
there.
had gone, but I just
Yeah.
I did ask like how many heads were in the house and how many are left. So.
I didn't know if maybe they were in a basement or something weird because it sounded like they joined up. Anyway, uh, okay. Well, what do you guys think we should do?
Jim also mentions that the house should be empty now. We could take a further look, perhaps.
How far away is Castle Ravenloft?
And Jim says, "I we're also
At this point, a day's ride.
late for a meeting with the devil."
It would be. It wasn't that message that Astropi got just kind of received some finality of it, as opposed to kind of getting the sense that he's still waiting. It was just like, you're late.
Yeah, I mean, we're late at this point. We can show up and still be late. He's probably already irritated with us. But it is still an invitation, and he didn't actually tell us how much time we had.
That is true.
To be fair, he's immortal. He's got all the time in the world.
Yeah, he's got time.
He's been around for several hundred years. Not sure what a few days really means to him.
I'm sure he'd be thrilled to teach us.
Okay, so did we get enough dirt on Lady Wachter? Are we just gonna wait for the meeting at this point, or are we gonna investigate the house more? Or Arnold's house. Was it Arnold?
Andre.
Andre.
I think that her play is that Lydia is dead, and that's how she's seizing power, because she doesn't have a blood right to rule. If she's alive, she's got a blood right to rule. I think that's all we need.
I'm worried that if we bring Lydia out, they're just gonna kill her because they killed all the rest of the Velakoviches anyway.
He expressed support for her, that she was kind. I don't think that ill will extended to her.
Well, I mean, he wouldn't, but the Lady Wachter would. I think actually it seems like the meeting would be the best place to do it then, because it would be in front of the whole town.
Right, exactly. I think we present her directly to the meeting. We have her come in a cloak, and at the appropriate time, she unveils that she's alive.
And then makes her proposal for a council
Yeah.
with trusted members.
Oh shit.
Yeah, in the light
That's exactly
of
what
day,
I'm thinking.
not with all this skullduggery.
Yeah, that's probably the best option at this point.
It would certainly be an easy way to get the townspeople behind her.
I'm
We'll
behind
just-
this.
We'll just have to see how the Lady Wachter deals with it.
Yep.
How she reacts. If she maintains her composure, then we'll have to... I don't know, we can follow up with her afterwards. Astropi's sort of, kind of... You can tell she's kind of holding back, like, these kind of snarls whenever she says Lady Wachter. Like, she does not like her and is, like, really looking for the opportunity to just basically club her to death, because she knows that something is very wrong with her.
Yeah, Jim at this
Um,
point is just kind of white knuckling, looking
won't-
around at the rest of the group, just kind of like he has many thoughts racing through his head about the message that Astropi got, and the the possibilities of what lay before us tomorrow.
Yeah, and Strapi just kind of says the sooner we can remove the Wachter house from this town, the sooner it can be free of Strahd's grasp. his sympathizers are a blight on Valaki, and I think we should cleanse this place before we move on.
Aye, says Jim, raising a clenched fist.
But I don't want to put Lydia or any of the townsfolk at risk. If we can fight them later in private, I would
We may
prefer
not-
that to be the case.
We may not even have to fight them. They may leave when they lose power. They're hinging all their bets on this
Aye.
secret council.
That's true. If we can rely on maybe just a handful of the townspeople to come forward, I think more would also follow in there. Let's say saw. And with
Strappy,
Lydia
does-
next to us, it might be convincing.
Strappy, when you said if we can rely on it, something, and Strappy kind of chuckles and goes, I know what I can rely on," and she pats her warhammer.
Jim, I had an idea.
Jim says,
These-
aye.
These people revere the ravens. Perhaps you could ask your friend to maybe speak a word at the meeting. I think that it could leverage the rest of the town against her. If one of these ravens shows up and indicts her as a charlatan or a tyrant,
I'm afraid outside of myself, the people would not understand the ravens.
ravens can actually speak. Like they're like parrots. They can actually make words.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't
I've
think that's-
literally seen ravens, like on a meta level. I've seen ravens in real life, like do that shit.
Well, I'm just saying on a on a meta level, these are ravens in D&D. I guess it's certainly.
It doesn't.
Possibly worth a
Like
shot.
it's like an animal making, like a parrot speaking, right? But if you just like taught him to say, liar or tyrant or something like
Maybe-
that, it just
maybe
would
if
be
you
a
just-
dramatic like.
Maybe if you just had a lot of ravens show up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, conjure 8 of them.
Well, that would be, they'd all be Fey. They could see through that.
Just ask Polly to get some of his boys to roll through for bread. Polly would have every raven in like 30 miles here.
Okay, so the people of the town are superstitious about ravens, or at least we know that Barovians in Kresk are, probably here as well. If we could get a flock of ravens to show up and land when we present Lydia, that would be very impressive, I think.
It would be very impressive.
Jim just says like, somebody give me a loaf of bread. And he starts scanning the sky, just kind of like with one hand outstretched toward the group for ravens.
As soon as the bread comes out, as you're reaching for it, you hear the ruffling of feathers. As you look around, you see maybe 3 or 4 of them somewhere off in various directions on the street, just looking and observing.
Jim kind of, beckons on and says, I have a proposition for you boys. And he starts
One of them
breaking
from
up
the
the bread into generous chunks.
one of the ones from the bell tower above you said, "Yeah, what do you got?"
And Jim kind of raises the bread up toward the raven and just says, "Come on down here. I
They
just
do.
want to."
They hop down. One like sits perched on your staff.
Jim's holding the pieces of bread in one hand.
There's one of them that's like hopping left, like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and he's just waiting.
breaks one of the pieces into like eighths basically, and starts handing it out to the birds and just says, "Which one of you knows how to say traitor?"
You see like two of them kind of break off into, they peck at the same one and then at each other like mine, mine. And they grab the bread from your hand.
And he starts taking the bread away and just says, "Now, nobody gets any if I don't get the answer to my question."
You hear one of them say, "Traitor, traitor!"
And now, do I hear him say traitor?
Yes.
Or do
Yeah.
I just hear like? Okay.
You
I look
hear
over to Jim and I give him one of these.
you hear the word traitor.
It's working.
And Jim's just kind of smiling, like, just
He's like, yeah.
he has the proof of concept, and he says,
Prototype is working. It's time to scale it out.
exactly, yep. Jim just kind of he hunkers down a little lower toward the ravens, just says,
3 more of them land.
"So I've
What's going on here, guys? Hey, what's going on? Like one of them merges in. He's like, "Hey,
hey there, Polly," and
whoa,
Jim
whoa,
gives
whoa,
them
whoa,
just a
whoa,
quarter.
whoa, whoa!" He looks around at everyone else, and they kind of just move away from him just a little bit. And he goes, "Telling you not to hand them bread without me here.
And
we,
Jim just
we have a thing going, man."
stuffs a quarter of the loaf into his beak.
The other ones, like the other ravens, kind of give him a bit of a breath, like a breath as he pecks at it on the ground, eats it. So, all right. Rest of you, go ahead. But what are you doing? What are you gonna do over here? Huh?
So
Why not just
right
wait
now,
for me? Why not just wait for me next time?
right now I imagine this kind of looks like Jim playing a game of craps with a bunch of ravens in the street.
He's
But,
just chucking bread,
Yep.
rolling.
And he just says, "I will have so much bread for any raven that shows up tomorrow upon my command and says the word traitor."
All right. Well, I mean, when do you want us to say it exactly? What are you looking at? At someone?
Jim just kind of let's see here.
Just a rudimentary instruction. I can't keep too much up there.
Jim says he'll caw like a raven 3 times.
All right. Hey, sounds good.
Or how about he just says when they hear the word traitor. That's it.
Okay.
Um
So, yeah, I got you. We could do that. It's very simple. All right.
but
As much bread, huh? As much bread? He looks up at you with his side eye. As much bread.
and Jim looks at him back with a side eye that's even more intense.
He's like,
and he's like, "Yeah."
All right.
And
all right.
and he says, "Oh, and one more thing. Don't just go yapping off at any old bastard who says traitor. When you hear me say traitor,
All right. All right. So
follow
there's an exception then. It's you. Okay. All right. We can do that. He looks over and you hear him like kind of give off instructions to some of the ravens. One takes off east. One takes off west. One of them takes off northwest. One of them takes off south.
And Jim is just passing out bits of bread to each of these ravens as they're filing out.
All right. You feed all ravens and they leave.
Before they leave, Mir just looks over at Jim, who's this big burly dwarf, and he's like mad dog staring down, giving the stink eye to this other raven that he's been chit-chatting with. And I don't know what he's saying, but I like this raven's attitude. So Mir pulls out an arrow and she just like slides it over to this raven on the ground.
He sits on the arrow shaft.
And I say to Jim, "Tell him that's from me."
And Jim just kind of looks at the raven and just It says, it's from Mir.
Hey, he looks at you and goes, "Yeah, I got 2 eyes. I can see that." And he grabs it and he goes, "This is gonna be perfect." And he flies off with it.
Weaponized ravens.
Weaponized
Yes,
ravens.
indeed.
All right, so you guys are out here, St. Andrew's Church. Are we fast forwarding into tomorrow's meeting? You guys go into that dude's house. What's the deal?
I think we kind of got a plan. I would like to guess yeah,
Fancy
I don't
house
really have
might
anything
have
else.
fancy stuff.
So you saw basically all you saw in that house was a guy write a letter and then leave with it.
That's what I saw.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. I I almost jumped the dude. I was real close, but then I was just like, no, restraint.
Restraint. Don't hurt Barovians. Don't hurt Barovians.
Yeah. All right. I mean,
Okay, well, maybe we should just just wait for the meeting then.
Yeah, you actually, while you're waiting for the meeting at the Blue Water Inn, you see that upon your approach into the Blue Water Inn, you, Jim, see that same burly man sitting at the bar having a drink.
Wasn't that
Hmm.
convenient?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Guess
there's
this
only
is
one
where
place to go drinking in
this is where
Barovia.
people hang out. Yeah.
Jim just catches the attention of the party and kind of motions toward the burly gentleman and says that was the letter bearer,
Hmm.
the one from the adorned house.
so I'm at this point. Has Jim told us about what he saw?
Yeah,
assume
I
so,
told
yeah.
Yeah,
you
he told us at
when
the
we.
church.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Howland's going to try to figure out if this guy still has that note on him or not.
Give me a perception check.
Jim also.
You can't make it out on his person.
Jim also attempts.
You could probably assume that it's in his messenger bag. You don't know.
Um,
Same thing, Jim.
Mir just looks to Howland and says, maybe a little bit of those sneaky fingers, huh? And Mir,
That's my what I was
Mir
going
walks
for.
over to the bar, and pulls up like next to him, like kind of without looking at him, as if she's just going to the bar, on the opposite side of the messenger bag.
Okay.
So okay, before this, I want to make sure that it's understood between Howland and Mir what's about to happen. I'm assuming what's going to happen is he's going to do some sort of distraction, and this is going to be like a help on a sleight of hand.
Yeah, that's what's going down.
Yeah, okay, that's what I assumed. So yeah, Helen sneaks up on the other side and kind of wait for Mir to get his attention.
So as Mir is walking to the bar, kind of making her way through the crowd, she just slides her coin pouch like back behind one of her quivers, and she just slides up to the bar and kind of like stands there, like almost trying to catch the eye of the bartender, but not quite. I'm sure he's serving other people and she's waiting, and she kind of turns to him and kind of gasps a little bit, goes, "Oh, hello."
He goes, "Oh, hello. What are you doing so close to me, foreigner? Sit a little further away."
I'm sorry, I just was trying to get a drink and I noticed you're quite striking. and she kind of, gives him like a coy smile.
Okay, you're flirting.
Yeah,
All right, yeah.
and
He says, what you're doing with your eyes there?" He's a little taken aback for a moment.
Mir gives him the long up and down, like top to bottom, and she just kind of, she turns like sideways, kind of towards him, and says, "Here to have a drink and meet some new friends."
Sure, I suppose.
And she says, "My name's Chambir."
Your name is not Shambir.
God damn.
He looks away and he goes, You think Borovians? He goes, never mind.
And she kind of rests her hand on the bar next to his, and she says, "Well, can we at least be friends? Talk?"
Why would I want to be friends with you? Lady Wachter said you're not allowed here, and here you are.
Uh,
Just wait. Just wait. You foreigners will have what is coming to you. I promise you that.
Howland's waiting for a moment when it looks like his attention is diverted.
Oh, it is. He's like
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
a mirror head on and like.
so whenever he goes for this pickpocket, Mir kind of
Oh my
touches his arm.
god,
She's-
dude! I wish I could move my camera. It's a natural one on perception.
and so Mir kind of like touches his arm, and she's like,
So at this point, like Howland's
so
like
fun to
full on
misbehave.
ruffling through his bag. Like, he
Yeah,
doesn't
you
know.
find the scroll. You're able to like remove it from the bottle and then bottle the empty scroll case and put it back in his thing as to not arouse suspicion.
Yeah, and so
put
I
a
just like
regular sheet of
back
paper.
away slightly, and just give Mir like a an eyebrow, and just like I just like go away so he doesn't know that I was there. Like that's my play.
and Mir kind of just, she caresses his arm and kind of bats her eyes at him and says, "Are you gonna buy a drink for a girl?"
So right now,
he
Howland.
says no, and he stands up and he goes, like I said, you foreigners will know what's coming to you. Just wait till tomorrow. And he looks over at his bag and sees like the flap kind of hanging weird. He goes and checks and grabs the scroll and he looks at the case and puts his throws the flap over and begins to leave.
As he's leaving, Astrapi just meets eyes with him and gives him a big toothy grin.
He goes, what are you looking at? You're the ugliest one of them.
Jim has to forcibly look away at this point because
He
is-
passes you by without even acknowledging you and hits the door and is gone.
he's stifling a giggle. He's just like, after
Yeah, now
seeing
it's just
Strahd
you guys.
back in the green.
It's just you guys, a couple Barovians. You see Irwin in front of the bar. He calls out to you when you all entered, but short of, he's not one for small talk. So unless you guys actually like bring up a conversation with him, he's just kind of a quiet man, quiet and contemplative.
So
Well-
I call everybody around and I present this scroll that I pulled out.
Mir brings 4 drinks back from the bar.
All right, you pull out the scroll and you can read this to everyone.
Andre's letter. Sylvia, this is going just as planned. Soon we'll be in control of Valaki and of the wine. Lady Wachter will be pleased when she recommends all of us for counsel. People believe us to be democratic. They are foolish. These Barovians must be ruled with an iron fist. Strahd was right to conduct himself the way he did. Only I will be stronger.
Well,
Mm.
And Mir just says, "Oh,
We got ourselves a ringer, says Jim as he kind of
Mir just cheers as Jim.
as Jim slams his cup on the table empty.
So tomorrow, when the time comes, who's going to do the honors? And I hold up the scroll, presenting it to the group.
I think we should have Erwin show that scroll.
You present the scroll.
No, I think that we should have Erwin present that tomorrow.
All right, so I'll allow you to make a dex saving throw if you want. Howland, you see Zoldar reach over and try to grab it from your hand, like interestingly. And he says, "What is this you mean?" All right, you save from his grab.
And then Mir swats his hand and says, "Grabby, grabby."
Hey, do not touch the Zoldar.
This is all done.
And I just look at him and I say,
What is that you have, little man?
"Are you going to be at the town meeting tomorrow?"
Of course, I would not miss it.
And Jim says, "Yeah, I'd make sure of that."
He looks at you with a side eye. Because what do you
And
mean?
Jim
It
does the
appears
side
as
eye
if
even harder.
it appears as if you know more than you're letting on. I thought
Astrapi-
we were friends here,
Astrapi
huh?
finishes her drink and slams it down and goes, "Just show him the damn letter."
I just give it to him.
He grabs it.
Right before he reads it, Mir snaps his hand, like
Hey.
grabs him by the wrist, and she's smiling and jovial, and she says, "Of course, we're all friends here. Please read the letter.
Sure, sure.
But the next time you snap at my friend like that, you may lose the hand."
Uh-huh. Yes, not before you lose yours. And I'll make sure, too, it's your shooting hand. He kind of ribs you a little.
And Mir just says, "Oh, you mean this one?" And she twirls his family arrow in front of him.
He looks at you and he goes, "Really? Is it gloating? That's how far you've gone?" All right, sure. He grabs and reads the letter. His face starts getting incredibly red. Why should we wait for tomorrow?
Zoldar, calm down. And Mir just looks at him in the eyes, and she puts the arrow in.
Erwin moves his hands up from the table and he begins to stand back a little bit.
And she just says, "Zoldar, this will be dealt with, and there's a time and a place for it, and that's tomorrow."
Give me a persuasion check. I'll give you advantage.
Where the whole town can see.
Right. And to think she was going to offer me position of guard.
We can still make you a guard, my friend.
Well, it is not that I wanted to be guard. She forced it upon me for staying to Valaki. This is perfect. I get to do what I want again.
All right.
Yes. Well, we would still like to have you there. We want
Oh,
everybody
yes.
that we can on our side.
I would not miss it for the world, and I will make sure to tell Yevgeny when I see him.
Excellent.
He storms out.
Okay.
You should probably tell Erwin what's going on.
Yeah, we should brief him.
Yeah, Erwin's just looking incredibly confused and alerted, and he says, usually when Zoldar gets that mad, no one can calm him down. He looks at you, Mir, and goes, wow, impressed.
Mir just twirls the arrow and says, "Kindred spirits." But
What do you have there? What is that? What got him so riled?
discreet, my friend. And she kind of dial it down a notch, and she just motions to slide him the letter.
He reads it. And looks up to you, and then reads it, and then looks up to you and says, Where did you find this?
I believe we found it right there on the ground underneath the bar stool of that brass cretin who just left.
Andre. I know he was not a good man, but I did not know he would Stoop so low.
Not a good man and terrible taste.
Well, you
He says, should show this to Lydia and the others. The town will want to see this.
They will when you show it to them tomorrow at the meeting.
You want me to show them the letter?
They want to take your wine, is that not correct?
Yes, they will not.
Of course not.
Yes, you are right. I will make sure of it. I will be the one presenting the letter. It would make sense to come from a Borovian. No offense. I know you are foreign friends, but it is easier for a fellow Borovian to produce something than it is for a foreigner to do so.
that was also our thought. So,
All right. Well, I need a drink. Yes. You see him snap his fingers. Pounds the bar top twice, and some of the Borovians go, "Come on! It is too early!" And he goes, "Out! Everyone, you can come back tomorrow." And he clears the bar. At this point, it's getting into evening, so it's about appropriate. He can't stomach any food, and he's drinking a hell of a lot over the course of the night. So short of us attempting to fast track this, Erwin's behavior is very simplistic, yet you can tell that it's something he uses to cope. Obviously, is how drunk he's getting.
Okay, so before he gets that drunk, I want to have Mir try and I want to have Mir, like, when I see him slam the second one back, I want to try and persuade him to, he needs to be functioning tomorrow. And also, I want to hold on to the letter until tomorrow, just in case some
he's not
goes on.
He's not offering to hold it. If you guys suggest keeping it, safekeeping, he's fine with that.
Okay. So I don't know if you want me to roll for that to keep him from getting blitzed.
Yeah, give me a persuasion check to kind of calm his nerves. I'm not going to give you advantage in this one because you haven't built the same. Oh, okay, 22. That's good. DC
Nice.
20. So awesome, especially for a +3. A really well done roll.
Yeah, I wanted
Spot
to.
on.
So as he's talking about that, and he agrees to present the letter and says that it should be from a Barovian. Astrapi is kind of, she's still at the table, finishes her drink, and is thinking about just working this through in her head. And she comes over and says, in my clan, when there was a change of leadership, there were always two parts. The first part was to convince everybody that the current leader is unfit. It seems that we have all that we need for that here. The second part is to get everybody to agree on who's going to take over. You must make a proposal on who will take the current leader's place. We believed at least that any head is better than nothing, and so to leave that vacuum of power is to guarantee chaos. What is our plan for suggesting a new leadership, something that the people of Barovia, of Vallaki in particular, can get behind, and be excited about?
What did you have in mind?
They spoke of a council, a dark council, formed in secret. But I think a council would be advantageous, would fit Vallaki well. Just a council formed in the open, in the light of the Morning Lord, and before all of the citizens. Lady Lydia, obviously, perhaps yourself, Father Lucian of the church, and any other townsfolk that are influential and trusted.
they could be elected.
we could give the people of Valaki the power to choose their own fate and their own leaders.
This is very, very wise of you, Ostrapi. You always surprise me.
It is
She
the only
says,
option, as far as I see.
yeah, she just
Give
says,
these people what they've lost.
my people aren't very much like Barovians in a lot of ways, but I find that in my travels, most people in most places are similar, where it
You're
really
right.
counts.
You are right. Yes, yes. I know exactly what you mean. I will think of something before tomorrow. There is something I have been thinking about since you've discussed Lady Walker's business. I think the town will approve. Uh, first things first at meeting, though, we should establish this letter.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Aye.
This is. He looks at it and says, "This is. I do not know if this is Andre's. Sorry, he says, This is Andre's handwriting. I could not believe it, but he has signed many things here, and that signature is his."
Aye.
He looks at you for a moment and says, "We should be glad he is not brightest man. Because a more clever man would have gotten that under our nose."
Strapi says, even I know not to sign something like that.
He laughs. All right. What do you guys think? Is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Let's do the thing.
All right. Yeah. Tomorrow. Go ahead.
Jim wants to have a sidebar with the group,
Sure.
you know, after Erwin's gone to bed or something, and just
Yeah, you guys
say-
are, candlelit, empty tavern bar. It's kind of the first time you've seen it really quiet with all of you guys sitting here. Maybe it's post. You guys are finished with your soups and wolf and beet stew.
Yeah, Jim just says, I have a grave feeling that Lady Walker will not take this situation with grace. I doubt she'll become aggressive, but I fear worst in that she'll flee toward Strahd.
Strapi says, I agree. We cannot leave her to her own devices. She'll only slink away and plot some kind of return. We need to end her and her kind decidedly. And
It must be, says Jim.
Even if we can't, it'd be better for her to be gone than here. We'll
that
have
much is
time
true.
for her if we can't catch her tomorrow.
Aye.
Mir just says, perhaps the people of Valaki will deal with this.
Up to now, we've always let the Barovians issue their own judgments. I see no reason to stop that at the moment, unless we need to.
I think we should have a backup plan just in case.
We
What do you
kill her.
propose?
I mean, that's the backup plan, right?
Backup plan is we kill her.
Yeah,
Kill the
exactly.
fucking shit out of her.
Like, I mean, this is pretty binary to me.
That's
Strafi's like-
absolutely.
We let the Valakis do it, or
She's a fucking
she gets
sneaky
killed
wizard,
by
all right?
highwaymen on the road. I mean,
So, I mean, like, do we just, we can't just kill her at the town meeting? Can we?
No.
I
No.
mean,
Probably
I think
not.
I think we can incite the Valakis to do it though.
we might be able to.
Zoldar's pissed. Zoldar's gonna murk a bitch.
They might. I think they might. They might do something.
Yeah.
I don't know, it looks pretty bad.
the Wachter House may be more powerful then we know. Um, I I think it's wise to encourage the people of Alaki to take their fate into their own hands. But if they need help evening the odds, uh, we'll be there for them. And with that, Astrapi kind of stands up, pats the table,
Wait, my
and
friend. There's one thing I forgot. The guy I talked to earlier seems to not know about the dream pastries and the, top pockets going on. So I just let that one slide, but
we
we may want to keep that on the DL.
probably shouldn't
being.
tell anybody about what those are.
Yeah.
Just that they won't be happening
Yeah, right.
anymore.
You hate to see it happen.
And
Hot
Astrapi goes,
pockets.
I'm not entirely sure why you felt the need to update me on that now, but
Okay.
it's
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
Sometimes Astropi says some shit, and I just
I mean, that's
fucking
so,
known.
so technically, I mean, that's not a bad idea. Like not mentioning those things to anyone ever.
Wouldn't
By
say
the
that
way, you
to
guys have been
anybody
eating
ever.
pigs.
Yeah, and I'm gonna retire to my room.
All right, everyone else.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Following morning, the ding of the town bell.
By the way, we've got dose vampire chapters after this.
That's true.
Oh yeah, you do.
2 big old chapters of vampire book.
At least,
Right.
I mean, you could at least just drop them in the documents at the end of the session so we can read them when we have time.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
think we should try to read them like on
No, they
like
take-
in the
they take
session.
forever.
They take
It takes
way
it
too
takes
long.
a long. Takes a long time. All right.
So
So
I'm sleeping. I'm dreaming about dragon stuff. I've got more spells actually that I should be adding to my book. I'm gonna look up some spells here. See what else I can add because I never added my spells from level 8.
Yeah, I started adding some stuff, but I didn't add everything.
Can I take like a 3-minute break?
yeah, let's do that right now.
Yeah, let's take a quick break because we're in the last hour here, and I think some shit's about to
Shit's
happen.
about to happen.
So
For sure.
we'll
It's
take
gonna
a
get crazy.
little quick break here, and then we'll come back with some sweet town meeting action. All right, we're back.
All right. So the town square the following morning, the shops here and the homes that enclose the town square are decorated with limp, tattered garlands and painted wooden boxes filled with tiny dead flowers. At the north end of the square stands the row of stocks, all of which are empty. You see on top of them are the folded plaster donkey heads. In the center of the square, peasants in patchwork clothes. Some of them greet you, some of them eye you a little suspiciously. They're still using cups and vases to draw water from a crumbling stone fountain. Standing in tall at the center of said fountain is a great statue of an impressive man facing west. It looks like Strahd from where you're standing. The all around the square, you still see some posted proclamations that are being torn down. Some being the Wolf Heads Jamboree from last time, the other ones being the Festival of the Blazing Sun. Guards are all taking them down as many people gather around the town square. Lady Wachter approaches from the north of her home into the town square.
So we're bringing Lydia with us here, and I'm assuming like Erwin and Zoldar and like all these people are gonna show up.
Mm-hmm.
Lydia's like incognito though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You all see Lydia stations herself near the stockades.
I stand next to Lydia.
Yeah, we're all next to her.
You all see Zoldar 10 feet away from Lady Wachter, arms folded across his chest, staring at her. And on the opposite side of him, maybe 30 feet away, to the opposite side of Lady Wachter, you see Yevgeny standing there with his arms folded, just staring her down. She is not paying them any mind, although she is a little concerned about one of the reasons about why. You can see the look of concern on her face about why Zoldar and Yevgeny are taking a posture like that towards her. She begins to call out to the guards, "Bring him here now!" And you see a Barovian man, a young Barovian man who looks like Milivaj. Put him in the stockade. And they do. They open the stockade cage and they throw him in there and close the door after putting the plaster donkey head on him. And she looks around at everyone and says, as the steward of Valaki, we are going to make some new rules here. But as we do, we also want to make sure that everyone is safe. Yes? How do we start with that? By making sure anyone who speaks ill of the Lord Strahd gets put into stockade. If it happens again, flagellation. If it happens again, even worse. Now then, and as you see some of the Barovians kind of looking at each other,
God, Howland wants to shank her so bad,
a little concerned.
like really bad.
And she says, you all have decided, at least through talking to me, that you would prefer council as opposed to one person who's in charge of Valaki. I have made my decision on who will serve on the council based on what everyone has suggested to me. The first person will be Andre. Some of the Barovians talk amongst themselves. Andre,
Where's Erwin?
huh?
Is Erwin here?
Erwin's here. He's looking kind of at you as this happens.
I like kind of motion for him to come over to our group.
Yeah, he's already there with you guys. He left with you, so.
Okay, so I've already like palmed him the note.
Mm-hmm.
And I just give it to him. And then I look at Jim, and I look at Strahd and Mir and Lydia.
Mir just says, "Wait until she names the other collaborators."
She does, one by one. Andre, Sylvia, two others look like grim Barovians that are standing there all next to her. And she says, by your charge as the steward of Valaki, this will be the council that will decide what happens in the future of Valaki's fate. We will make sure to take everyone's attitude into consideration. Andre will be watching over the western part of Valaki and report to me. So everyone in western part of Valaki near St. Andro will report to Andre. Everyone in center will report to Sylvia, and she on and so forth. She almost like breaks up kind of quadrants of representatives to a very rudimentary way. Some people kind of ask questions like, but what exactly, like in house, between how, like where home, and she kind of fans them off and says, you will all have very specific information later. Right now, we're just talking about the bulk of it. And then you hear Erwin say, do you plan to serve under the best of Valaki, yes? All of our interest, you would say. And she says, of course, Erwin. Why else am I the steward of Valaki? I volunteered for this position. It's not as if I wanted it. You all thrust it upon me. And he says, are you sure that the Barovian people are your best interest, Lady Voctor? And she kind of looks to Andre and the guards and says, what are you suggesting, Erwin? That's when, Jim, you start seeing a bunch of ravens kind of congregating around the town square. Some of them are like flying in. You're seeing like hundreds that are perched on rafters around the outside of the town and just observing. And Erwin says out loud, I believe we should have a different way to determine council and not all of you standing there. And she said, Erwin, did you not want to make enemies of us here, do you? We are all Valakians here. What are you doing? She gets a little uneasy.
All these fucking ravens.
And he says, Lucian, you come here. What does this say, Lucian? And Lucian looks at the scroll and he goes, what is the meaning of this, Erwin? And he says, Erwin says, read it. And he opens a scroll and you hear him say, this was signed by Andre. And Andre looks, like his brows raised, and he looks left and right, surprised. And he reads, Sylvia, this is going just as planned. And Lady Wachter goes, what are you doing? This is a waste of time. I don't want to hear this. And he says, he's just continues to talk calmly as he's reading it out. He says, soon we'll be in control of Valaki and of the wine. And Lucian kind of looks up towards Andre and then looks down, and some of the Barovians are turning their heads going, what do you mean control of the wine? And he says, and you hear the birds, traitor, and he says, wait. Lady Wachter says, she starts like getting flustered, looking around. Helen, you see Ernst kind of taking steps back between Barovians and moving away. And Lucian says, Lady Wachter will be pleased once she recommends all of us for council. The people believe us to be democratic, but they are foolish. These Barovians must be ruled with an iron fist. And you start hearing some of the Barovians start yelling angrily. What do you mean we are foolish?
Traitor!
They continue to scream it out. Strasny was right to conduct himself the way he did. Only I will be stronger. Signed, Andre. And Lucian just kind of looks up at them all. And Lady Wachter starts receiving a bunch of questions from the nearby Barovians, saying, what do you mean we are foolish? What do you mean control of the wine? What do you mean control of Valaki? Who is controlling Valaki? What do you mean we are foolish? What do you mean he's going to rule as strong as Strasny? What is this? We did not kill the Baron and put in install. They start like the crowd is getting incredibly angry. Lady Wachter tries to back up and go to leave, and you see she bumps into Zoldar, and Zoldar uses his chest to thrust her back into the center of the circle near the Stark. The other Barovians, Andre, kind of like is lowering his center of gravity and looking around. The other ones are just begging for forgiveness, almost immediately acquiescing to being guilty. And then you see a stone fly up, and it hits Andre in the head. And then another stone fly up, and it hits Lady Wachter. One of the Barovians on the council men on the quote unquote council go to leave, and Zoldar pulls out his arrow or his bow and shoots an arrow through her leg, pinning her into the ground. Another Barovian comes up and uses his like almost like his family. It's like every weapon they have is like family heirloom looks to be. He uses a dagger and shanks her right in the stomach and pulls it out. And this is just one of the council people. It's not actually Lady Wachter. The others start getting stoned to death. You hear Lady Wachter death scream, and then it gets cut off immediately by a much larger stone being brought down upon her by a Barovian. Andre gets swarmed by a couple of Barovians, and they go to tie him up, and they immediately take him to the gallows, which are nearby. As this is happening, Lady Wachter is gurgling blood out of her mouth. The other council are lying, if not dead, near half dead. The Barovians start tying their feet together and moving them towards the gallows. All the ones that are almost unconscious or near unconscious get tied upside down, and the Barovians slash her stomach and split them open, cut their necks, and they hang Lady Wachter. And at this point, all of the councilmen are dead.
Damn.
God damn.
So while starts going on, Mir kind of makes her way towards whoever's stringing up Lady Wachter.
You're going to help me, foreigner? Yes. And he starts like doing the thing with the trying to tie her up.
And Mir just says, "May not be true, but you can't ever be too safe. I've heard some scuttlebutt that she might be, vampire." And she like passes him a stake, and she says, "Stake her through the heart and cut her head off too."
Oh, damn.
The Barovians all agree, and they all start doing that. And up to the point where after Lady Wachter has well and hung on the gallows, they drop her lifeless body down, they stake her chest, and then cut her head off. All of them now have a stake to their chest, and they're decapitated. Their legs on the ropes are dragged now back to Lady Wachter's Wachter house. And if you guys follow the mob, you'll notice that they all crowd in front of the house. They drag her body into there. They drag the council's body into there, throw them in, and they start using their torches to set the house on fire. At this point, the house is flaming with fire that's brilliant in the sky. Some cinders are hitting nearby houses, but nothing is catching.
Helen turns to Erwin and just says, Erwin and Lydia, and says, it's time to take back control of this crowd. We need to do what Astropi referred to as step 2.
Yes, you're right. And he looks to you and then looks to Lydia and says, "Do you prefer which of us do this?" I suppose I can. I've been thinking.
You need to get their attention, Erwin.
Yes.
Once you have that, we can tell them the extent of how much the lady Wachter was lying to them, and show them Lydia.
Yes. He looks to you, Astropi, and says, "You people are referring to you as the Tempest, yes? So you are like lightning, like thunder. Could you make sound to grab attention for me?"
That I can do. And let's see, how should I do this? I'm going to basically take my shield and my warhammer, and let's see, did I get the ability to...
He points up to the gallows and says, "It is like stage. Let us do it there, yes?"
Yeah, so I'll get up onto the stage so that everybody, so that kind of at an elevated position. And then, sorry, I lost all of the features and stuff I had because of the new character sheet, so I don't know if I have that thing where I can do extra thunder. basically what I want to do is just bang my warhammer and my shield together and make like a thunderclap with it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Um,
It's about what I expected to happen.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So you maybe you cast a thunder wave or something. Pow! The sonic boom of thunder emanates throughout Valaki. It grabs the attention of the people, and you see this. At that point, they've all gathered from the Walker House back to the town square, and they're all angrily kind of yelling at each other. And some of them are saying, "I knew it! I couldn't believe we believed her. What are we thinking?" And some of them are going, "Maybe we are foolish." And then the thunder hits. And it kind of it jars all the Barovians and grabs their attention. And you see Erwin standing there and says, uh, "Yes, it is true that we should have counsel in Valaki. Although it is also true that we should not have let it to Lady Wachter. I was thinking of certain people who could lead in our stead."
So Hallin's going to step out next to this and say, "Your
You
lady
hear-
walked." Okay.
you just before you hear, "Well, what is the foreigner doing on this stage?" And Erwin says, "They've been helping us," and he tries to calm the situation, but he can't. I'll give you a persuasion check and kind of say something to calm them down because they're a little upset as to why foreigners are on the stage. Because at this point, I mean, Stroppy helped with the clanging, sure, but when you get up on, they start getting a little.
So I just shout out, "The Lady Wachter lied to you all." Okay, that's a 2.
You just get quiet for a moment. Everyone just kind of listens. You hear one person say, "So what's your point?"
She told you all that Lady Lydia was dead. There's only one reason why she would have told you that. It was to seize power for herself. And then I step aside, and I lead Lydia out onto the stage.
She comes up,
Like,
lowers the cowl. You hear an audible gasp from everyone in the audience. A couple of Barovians are saying, "Oh my god, Berenice," and almost kind of weeping happily. A couple of Barovians are saying, "We left the Baron. Why would we stay under her rule?" And they're looking almost confused up on the stage. "Even if she is not dead, we do not want her to lead like the Baron did."
Just sort of nudge Lydia a little bit.
And she says, "I have been talking." And then she gets a little more confident. She says, "I have spoke with Erwin of the Blue Water Inn. You all know him. He is part of the Martikovs that give free wine to the city of Valaki. I understand that not all of you would prefer to go back to the way that we lived under the Baron, which is why I have decided that the head of the council should be Erwin." And Erwin looks surprised, and he looks over and goes, and then she says, If the head of the council is Erwin, I would sit as an advisor to Valaki. That way the town would have no leadership, and it would not all be centralized." And some of the Barovians are kind of nodding, going like, "Okay, this is not too bad. This is a decent compromise." And you hear one Barovian say, "But there are only 2 of you. We need one person to break the tie." That's when she looks down to you, Howland, and over to you, Astropi, and says, "Would it be too convenient to recommend my brother?"
Yeah, Stroppy this actually says,
Maybe we
she-
should.
she speaks up and says, "People of Valaki, I know I'm a foreigner to your land, but I know justice, and I know light, and I know darkness when I see it. And there is a light in this town, in this land of darkness, and it comes from the Church of St. Andrel. I think it would be wise if Father Lucian Petrovich joined the council and helped to guide you all."
You hear gasps from some of the Barovians. Some of them are quick to point out the relationship between the siblings, and says, "In that case, We recommend Blinsky to serve on the council as well. We need to give more people because with the two siblings, the power might feel too centralized. If there are more people, then it means that less relationships tend to sour the council. And you see Blinsky kind of looking around in the crowd, and a bunch of people kind of clear out from his location, and he just stands there nervously for a moment. He's standing next to an automaton of his, and he's just like looking for a moment, surprised. Says, "If it's no toy, it's no Blinsky." And he just says very nervously, and only some of the Barovians laugh. The others just kind of look upon him disdainfully, and he says, "Sure, as long as it does not take too much time from my toys, I will help the town." And then you hear another Barovian voice say, "Okay, but we still need tiebreaker. Who is fifth?" And you hear one person in the crowd say, "It should be the foreigner. He has no relationship to the town, so he would be able to break tie without uh, objectively."
Who is he referring to?
Astropi turns
Smith.
and looks at Howland.
And one of them says, "No."
Howland's shaking his head like, no, we don't want to get involved in this.
Mir just
And-
says
and-
they're talking about the Smith.
And, he,
Oh,
and yeah,
Is he
and
a foreigner? He lives here, and
He,
they might
he's
still call him
technically a
They
foreigner,
still call him
though.
the foreigner, though.
they call
Even though
all
he's
of us
been here for,
foreigners.
even though he's been here like 30, 40 years or
They
something
call
like
us all
that.
foreigners. But yeah, I mean, the Smith should probably be the other guy.
and Tibor just kind of stops. You hear the dinging of an anvil stop for a moment. He says, "Sure," like across the distance, and then the dinging of the
Still in
anvil,
his-
ding, ding, ding.
Still at his shop.
It doesn't concern him. He's not going to be there. And yeah, at this point, the Barovians, a lot of them begin dispersing once the rudimentary structure of the new council has been established. Some of the ones who are a bit more concerned stay and chat with Erwin and everyone else. Lydia and Erwin and Blinsky and Tibor and Lucian are all incredibly occupied by talking with Barovians that begin to explain their issues. You notice that each and every single person individually has their own way of solving certain problems. Where Lydia is a little more sensitive, Lucian might be more patient, and Erwin might be more practical, and so forth. Zoldar and Yevgeny approach all of you, and Zoldar kind of booms, and he goes, "I am proud of you, foreigners. I promise from now on I will not call you that. You are friends of Balaki, and I am proud to call you my friends. You have done well. I am impressed. I did not think that people not familiar to Valaki would come here and make such a change and then turn this town around, as they say."
Howland says, well, at least you don't have to be a guard anymore.
Yes. To be fair, I was never going to be a guard. I just said yes to get Lady Walker off my back.
Fair enough.
Jim
now
just
that
pulls out the enchanted wineskin and takes a big swig and starts passing it around.
The Barovians are enjoying the merriment that are around you and nearby. At this point in time, it seems like all of the new council appear to be occupied. So unless you'd like to approach one in particular, you guys are just standing out here in the town square. A couple Barovians thank you. A couple of Barovians still view you with suspicion, although you feel like it's a lot less in compared to before. Almost as if like some of them realize, though they might not like you, they understand that if it wasn't for you, they would have been under the same, iron fist. So, yeah, you guys have the.
Mir searches the bodies of the council members and Lady Walker.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Howland's interested in that as well.
Yeah.
You would not be able to unless you want to go into a burned down mansion.
That is
Oh.
true. They
Their
did
bodies
take it.
were thrown into the Walker house, and the place is actively on fire right now. There's like a couple of Barovian guards who are standing out there like, "Oh, every time they always burn down homes. I do not know why we have to stand here and watch this." And they're just making sure they're putting out small fires that begin elsewhere in the town from the cinders that fly around here.
Well,
Uh,
it's one less eyesore in the street.
Astrapi nudges Howland and says, "What of the man from the Wachter house who first approached you? Did you see him today?
I did.
Do you know where he is?
I don't know where he is now. He left when he saw the winds blowing against him,
Should we be
as it were.
concerned about him?" She's honestly just curious of what, like, she's kind of leaving this into your judgment, right? She doesn't really know
So,
how thieves work.
like, out of character wise, I guess this can be in character too. It's like, it's as far as I'm aware, I didn't get the feeling that he would act against us on his own. He was serving someone else, and that someone else is no longer around. I don't think that we have much to fear from him, but
I guess we'll
I
find
can't.
out.
Yeah, I can't make any promises. I think he'll go off and find. He will probably leave this town forever. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him again at some point.
All right.
Yeah, Howland, unbeknownst to everyone else, you do kind of see him. He's over here. You see him kind of around a house, and he looks at you and does one of these with his head.
I can't see your video; it's frozen.
Oh, well, he motions with his head real quick, like in a certain location, and he puts a finger to his lips, as in he's asking you to come over and telling you to keep it quiet.
I motion. I try to get Mirror's attention, just to
Mhm.
say like, watch out for me, but like not let the rest of the group know, like overtly or anything like that. I just kind of like motion, and I just say to the rest of the group, "Wait here," and I just kind of slip away.
Mirror shadows him.
Sure.
Yeah, so I walk out. I'm not trying to be stealthy or whatever, but I look left and right, and I walk over to where I last saw Ernst.
Yeah, he's standing there near some brush in the house out back.
And I say in Thieves' Cant, what do you want?
He says in Thieves' Camp back. Very clever.
And I say, it wasn't all me. In fact, I wish I would have had more to do with that than I actually did.
You see him kind of using his forehead. He's doing one of these, and says, "Yeah, clever. I suppose we'll be meeting each other soon again. Yes."
Why would that be?
Well, you were late, weren't you?
Sometimes you have things to do. I'm sure that for somebody that is as old as he is, I'm not sure what a couple days would matter. But we will be on our way.
I believe it's too late for that now. It is less about it is more about the punctuality of it. You see, he is how do you say, a very structured man with regard to formality. You could say it is his one weakness or strength, depending on how you view it. Although
If that is the case, if he is so structured in his formality, he would have given us a date.
I certainly cannot speak for him. I'm just giving you some insight into who he is. He says,
Into the mind of a vampire?
to be quite personal with you, I have no qualm. But just so you know, If he gives me word, I must do as commanded.
If that's the case, tell me again why we would be seeing each other.
You're asking me to tell you again why?
Yeah.
In the case Strahd decides to punish you using me. You see the gentle glint of some several hidden daggers beneath his cloak that look incredibly ornate and wonderfully crafted just from the hilt. And maybe his cloak opens for a moment with the wind and closes.
And does Mir see this?
I don't think any of us saw him go in there, right?
No, he didn't go anywhere. They're hanging out outside.
Oh.
You're a little too far away to see that. As far as you know, you just kind of see two neutral stances and just two people casually talking to each other.
Just I guess so you know where I'm at on this. I'm sitting there ready to shoot a motherfucker.
Yeah,
So as soon as he does something sketchy, he's getting shot.
So he's like leaning up against the back of the house. He's looking straight ahead. Maybe Howland's beside him. Perhaps they're both looking in the same direction. Or maybe Howland's facing him. His body language is very non-confrontational, just by your observation. You notice that if he was, he'd probably be like staring him down or something. But like his side is towards Howland.
And is Howland casual too?
I don't know. Are you?
Howland's fairly casual at this point. Yeah.
He says it is a shame.
And I'd just say back to him, yeah, it would be a shame.
He looks to you, and where his brown eyes used to be, you see red dotted pupils, and they flash back to brown. And he says, "Yes. Anyways, it is getting late. I have to return. It was wonderful seeing you again. Best of luck out here. You'll be needing it, yes?"
I'm just like staring at him.
He steps around the corner of the house. Where you heard a footstep, you hear nothing.
I get the feeling that if I were to go and look around the side of the house, that I wouldn't see anything.
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm gonna walk back over to the party.
At this point, the Stroppy, Jim, you notice Miriam is furiously concentrating somewhere in the distance. Maybe it has grabbed your attention. You're not sure, but what would you both say you're doing at this point, or while that was happening, I should say? Because Howland just kind of, you guys had a quick moment together, and then Howland kind of split off from the party. And it's just the town square is incredibly busy. I mean, there are more than enough like mental distractions that are occurring to where it wouldn't have been weird for Helen to disappear like that.
Right.
Yeah, Jim was just like sharing wine with like Mir and Zoldar and I don't know, just the folks that were nearby.
Cool.
Yeah. After I asked Howland about where Ernst might be, I would have kind of looked around a little bit, kind of concerned looking for him, but not hard enough to actually really notice him probably in the giant crowd, and then just sort of tried to shake it off and probably just hung out with Jim, not trying to get in anybody's face or anything.
Sure.
Just trying to keep, somewhat of a low profile.
Yeah, as much as you can.
Yeah, as much as I can.
Howland, when you kind of return to the general area, who are you approaching first? Because Mir obviously can still see you at this point. So if you're not approaching her, are you trying to signal her to the others? Like,
I'm signaling her to come with me back to the group. Like, we're settled.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long before you guys all converge upon the main statue in the center where people are drawing water from it.
I'm going to ask everybody, like, unless anybody else has anything to do here, I think that we should go back to some place where we can where there's not tons of people.
Jim says aye. That sounds
We can
very
go to
reasonable.
Blinsky or Blue Water. Or the church. Any place will do.
Aye.
Yeah, we can head back to the inn, I guess.
Yeah, let's go
Yeah.
back there.
Doesn't take long. It's about afternoonish, maybe.
So once everybody's back, Helen says, I had planned to suggest, once we took care of the situation here, that we head to Castle Ravenloft. And it would appear that we no longer have any reason to do that.
What do you mean? How do you know that?
Right after you asked me about Ernst, I saw him, and I had a chat with him. He is definitely an agent of Strahd, but he didn't attack me.
That makes him a liability.
It certainly does. But we've always been under Strahd's threat. Nothing has changed.
Stroppy's like, kind of growls a little bit, like, I don't like it.
Well, I don't like it either.
I don't like him being out there. Just kind of looks towards the window.
He's like looking out.
She's just like,
Um,
getting her mason hand ready, flexing her mason hand.
her mason hand. So, if we're not going to go to Castle Ravenloft next, I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to decide where we're going. We might be able to go there today, but we might want to wait until tomorrow morning.
I agree. We should stay in town until things settle down and help with whatever needs helping with. Perhaps cleaning up the fire, the reins of the fire, or whatever tasks the people might need help with.
At this point,
Alright.
Helen uses the tattoo of sending, and he's going to address Ismark,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody can hear it. And he just says, he just like inquires. It's a thought that just like is inquiring to make sure everything is going okay in Village of Barovia.
Sending is like 25 words, right?
Yeah, so I guess I could. I mean, I can keep it really short.
Yeah,
just,
I'm thinking of like what he would respond with, and I'm gonna write something down real quick. So you send that message. Ismark doesn't respond immediately, and after a couple moments he does. But in that interim, I'm gonna write something. So while you guys are waiting for Ismark to respond, is there anything else you guys are doing at the Blue Water Inn?
Mir kind of goes to the back wherever they've been tossing stuff and pulls out every loaf of like stale old bread she can find and starts
Jim.
taking it to the backyard and like throwing it into the backyard.
Yeah, Jim is definitely aiding in that effort
All right, sounds good.
after noticing what Mir's doing. And he's just laughing to himself, just like, damn birds.
Those damn birds.
Stroppy is she's just kind of quiet, just thinking about what the next path may be, weighing all the options. She's maybe on the wooden table that we're sitting at. She's using like the claw on her index finger, just sort of scratching the symbol, like a symbol of a dragon like Bahamut's holy symbol, like just kind of scratching into the table.
That's when you get a response from Ismark. He says, in so many words, Donovich is aiding me in regaining order in Barovia. We are studying scripture at the church, and he is showing me the light of the morning Lord.
Good.
So I'll respond for I'll send a response since we can each only do it once. I'll say Wachter House is no more. Council of Vallaki has been formed. Erwin, Lydia, Lucian, Blinsky, and whatever
Tibor.
Tibor.
All right.
And then with whatever words I have left, I'll just say like dragons are cool.
Praise Bahamut.
The dragons are cool. You hear Radovan say, "Yes, they are. I am here at Kresk."
He's like, "Sup guys, lol."
What's up, guys?
He says, "Yes, dragons are amazing. I am here at Kresk. I am tan."
That's a good sign. Just like I say that out loud to everybody.
Careful with how
He's
much
a-
time you spend in that sunlight.
He says, "I am tan, but I feel like there is plenty of problem in Barovia needs solving. Let me know if you need help."
Jim says, I think I know of a job opportunity opening up here in Vallaki, Radovan.
He would respond if he could, but you probably would assume he's enjoying that idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is. Anyway.
All right.
Oh, is Mira still here? Oh no, she's outside, huh? Never mind.
Yeah.
No, I'm there. I just was like bringing the bread and throwing it into the backyard.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
gonna,
just like coming
nudge,
in and out of the back.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
nudge
with
Mira.
bread and all the ravens. Just
Yeah.
100, 200 of them are eating all of the. Ah! There's so much noise in the back of the inn.
I'm gonna
Like Mir has the door propped open and is just throwing loaves of bread like down the
Right.
hall out into the backyard. Like she's not walking it
Dude.
out there.
We're
After-
dude, we have a fucking sweet like conveyor belt system going on where like I'm just throwing loaves of bread at you and you're just grabbing them, throwing them in
Right.
a backward juggle.
That's
after you say that about Radovan, you send the message to Radovan. Astrapi is gonna kind of nudge Mir and say, tell him about Izek and the I'm like drawing a blank. I'm so tired now. The people who are going to Kresk, tell him about the visitors that he's going to have. Make sure that they're welcomed in.
All right. That's a lot of ideas to convey. Hang on one sec. Let me.
Yeah.
The other thing too is I gotta get
that down a little bit because I rambled there, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
right?
get where you're going. I just gotta get all the fucking names. Because I forget that dude's name. What's the guy's name? The werewolf guy?
It's well, there's
Cobal and Clavdia.
Clavia
Okay.
and Cobal. Yeah.
Okay.
And Izek. And
Okay.
And the kids. Yeah.
So Mir sends back to Radovan, Cobal, Clavdia, Izek, Strozny, and 10 children en route. And then she's gonna say,
Claudia, Claudia might be able to explain Izek's presence. So if you want to omit that and say something else, you're more than welcome, because I'm pretty sure she'd be able to describe what happened with him and why he's there.
Yeah, I still want him to know that like it's legit because he hasn't met Claudia, right?
Correct.
Yeah, he hasn't met Cobalt or Claudia. So
I wish I could have him send another message back.
yeah, and then
When he hears about his ex Strahd.
right. So
Yeah, he's gonna be real fucking confused. That's why I'm like, we gotta probably give him a heads up.
okay, so the response is gonna be Cobalt, Claudia, Izek Strozny, and 10 children en route. Cobalt and Claudia are trusted. Strozny has been dealt with serving penitence.
Appropriate.
And then with, I guess, my last words, I just say dragons are meh. And then just like a kissy sound.
All right.
Stroppy, when she hears you say that, she kind of stands up from the table abruptly, like this is bullshit.
Chuffs.
walks over to the bar and orders a red dragon crush for herself.
Danica serves you a red dragon crush. Erwin's
Actually,
obviously outside.
I order 3, and I come back and I put one down in front of Howland and Jim. I have the third one. And I go, a toast.
Yeah. Helen toasts and then looks over at Mir and goes, "Dragons are pretty great, huh?"
And Jim says, "To dragons!" And cheers.
Mir just pulls out the blessed champagne du l'Estant and like
Don't-
goes to pop
No.
the cork.
No.
And then just goes and puts it back in the bag, goes get a drink.
And then the studio audience laughs and we roll credits.
I guess that's a good point to stop game too.
Yeah.
It's like appropriately at
And
11.
we're like, Miriam.
Freeze frame.
Oh my god. All right, yeah, perfect. We'll call game. Let's do another like 2-minute break. We'll come back for a short rock talk and then call it because it's
All
getting
right.
Outro theme
be-
plays.
Right back with we'll just kind of chat about the session a little bit, but it's over. It's over. All right, we're actually back now.
All right. That was an awesome game.
Yeah,
Turned out
Hallelujah.
pretty good.
everything went better than expected.
That had the opportunity to be really fucking.
Yeah, I was really
Yeah.
really worried about it. I thought it was gonna be super messy, but it actually went well.
I mean, it was still messy.
I mean, it was messy,
but
Not for us.
Yeah.
Do we get to level up now that we resolved Velaki?
Oh, you guys like resolved the windmill. Well, it's been two. Yeah, you guys are level 9.
Damn.
Nice.
Woo!
We did no fighting from then to now.
Yeah, we got a level just from RP.
Diplomacy works.
Hell yeah.
I like rewarding people for diplomacy because, like, mechanically, if you don't actually put experience in or make it up, the only way you can get experience is through combat. And I think it's just like a dumb way to have it.
But
It
that's
kinda
how
makes it-
Adventurers
yeah.
League is, and it is not nearly as rewarding because it's just like they don't give you the opportunities, right? Like you'll come up with some great idea to do something, and they're just like, well, no, like,
Yeah.
I don't believe you, and then it's a fight, and
and
Yeah.
still, as of now, we still have not directly harmed a Barovian. That was like not a werewolf or something.
That's true. Yeah.
It's because we're careful. I mean, it's hard. It's so much harder this way, I think. But I like that we're doing it this way. I like that we're not just like, just murder hobos. You know, we're not just like looking to get into fights. We're doing the extra work and the extra leg work and stuff to like try and.
I mean, you could have, like, honestly, the Watcher House could have been volatile and deadly last episode if you guys would have went down there. You could have resolved it in one sitting. But the fact that you went through 2 and then did the whole thing and planned it out and like went along with it was like, all right, well, this is the diplomatic way to do it. It doesn't have to be through fighting all the time.
Yeah, it worked out.
The council didn't really seem to put up any kind of resistance. I was expecting like you'll never take me, and then it would be like a fight, and they just
Yeah,
got
but
fucking
no.
Oh, yeah.
wrecked.
They just got like fucking cut open in front of us.
No,
Yeah,
just
no,
Okay,
that was
mob formed.
that was really fucking quick. Yeah, because that's what I mean. That's pretty much what happened with the Baron. Like the only reason why they got the Baron is when they set the house on fire, he like ran out into them, and then they
Yeah.
just fucking captured him. That woman who tried to get away, and then fucking Zoldar put an arrow through her leg. It was like, you're not going anywhere. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
okay, so let me ask you, Z, because I was holding on to this after last week. So Jim did a detect magic last week on their like pentagram circle they had on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
like in their like meeting chamber or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and there was no magic like there. So ever since then, like I've been thinking like she's just bullshitting. She's not even actually like
She's a con artist.
she's a charlatan. Totally.
Yeah, no, 100%. You were.
Okay,
If
all right,
that's what
all
you
right,
were
okay.
suspecting, you
Okay,
were right,
okay.
100%.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, you did tell Jim when he sent the tattoo of sending thing that it was noticed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
And
mean,
who the
but-
hell would notice that if they
Yeah.
weren't magically?
So the reason I was
don't
thinking
want
is
to completely give it away, but I'm just gonna say that
it was the vamp guy. It was totally him.
Who?
Like
But he wasn't there. Like
Which?
Okay,
you-
so-
we didn't go into the rest of the house.
hold
We
on.
went into
hold on,
one part of the house,
hold on. Let's
and they were hooded.
take it a step back. You say that Jim didn't see him, right? Now I'm gonna point back to his conversation with you where his eyes changed. You think maybe he would have used an illusion spell? No, sorry, not a spell. You think maybe he would have had a racial ability that gave him some kind of invisibility? Or maybe some mist?
I just was thinking that shit was total bullshit because you were like, you detect no magical significance from this shit at all,
Mhm.
like this pentagram and stuff. And I was like, the only reason some bitch would go through the hassle of setting all this up, right, is she's trying to like get cronies underneath her who are
Yeah,
like
if that's what you were
power
suspecting,
hungry.
you were right. That was
Okay.
it. She was a fucking charlatan.
but like, if he was there and invisible, wouldn't that be like illusion magic?
If it's a racial, it doesn't trigger a detect magic because detect magic works from schools, active schools of magic.
He's a
Like, say for
vampire.
example,
He was mist.
yeah, well, if he was invisible or missed, either way, both of those wouldn't trigger detect magic. Because the way detect magic works is if it's an active like invocation from a spell or something being channeled. With regards to certain innate creature abilities, those don't trigger. Like, there's a like say for example, an undead called a shadow in the monster manual has invisibility and like ethereal, and those technically don't fall under a magical school because they're just like innate features of that creature. Vampires run the same way.
Hmm.
So although
Tricky bastards.
if Ernst was to cast something to magically conceal himself, then he would have picked it up. But because vampires have certain abilities, it doesn't trigger the same way.
Interesting.
Ah, okay. So that's what I found the thing I was looking for earlier in the new character sheet. So by default now it's compendium compatible, but you can switch it back to simple and you can get all your stuff that was pasted in there before. So I was trying to remember if I had divine strike or not, because I was going to hit my shield and divine strike my shield to make like a thunder
Nice, yeah. I can
sound.
see that. So you guys are level 9 now. Also, what 2 chapters do you guys want me to give you?
Let me pull up what the chapters were. There were a couple.
So you have let's see here. Chapter you have
Being real slow.
you have chapter 3, creating new vampires. Chapter 6, magic and vampires. Chapter 7, lifeblood, the vampiric feeding habits. Chapter 8, the sleep of the dead. Chapter 9, hibernation. Chapter 10, relationships between vampires. Chapter 11, the mind of a vampire, and chapter 12, the facade.
I like those last two. But I don't know if they refer back a lot to previous chapters, like we were talking about, then
He tends to do that. I don't know how much he does that in those chapters.
I think we should do those last two. Those are the most interesting sounding, in a way.
They are. And then we can just work through the rest in order.
Yeah, the rest of them, I don't really care about the ordering. But those two stand out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just amped because we just got +4 proficiency, and
Yeah,
I just got
pretty huge.
Indomitable, so I can re-roll a fucking save once a day.
Sweet.
All right, so you guys want the mind of a vampire and the facade. What were you guys' favorite part of today's campaign?
That we were able to come up with any plan at all. Didn't fucking know what we were gonna do. And it ended up all coming together. I'm pretty sure Z threw out like it was like he was mining for fish, dude.
What?
Mining for fish.
It's an old meme, but it checks
Yeah,
out.
but it
It's
doesn't make any sense in this context.
no. It's there's an old yeah.
I think my favorite part so far has been like we have like gone so roundabout on so many like of these encounters that like I can't wait for like the post game wrap up of the like, oh, at the mansion, like this is what could have happened, right? Or like this is what was here and this is how you guys derailed it.
Yeah, there's probably so much of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of our staple at this point is just derailing the train directly, just smoothly into the depot. Just
drifting
coming-
both tracks into the station.
Yeah.
It does feel like a series of near misses.
Yeah. Did I get another D6 on my sneak attack?
The train is not on the rails, but everybody on the train is somehow safe.
Oh, I get a roguish archetype feature. I don't know
Ninth
Which-
level for cleric is weird. I don't get
when I get.
anything other than I get a 5th level spell slot, which is pretty dope. And I get
Oh,
another.
you got a 5th level now,
I can do one 5th level spell now, and then I got
dude.
another 4th level slot, so I'm up to 3 4th level slots, which is pretty dope too. But yeah, I've got a 5th level slot now too.
I can't. I'm looking that
But
up right now
but
about
like
what you
that's
have.
it. Like that's all I get.
Dude,
That
5th
and the
level
proficiency
spell
thing.
slot. That's
Yeah.
huge. You're gonna. I'm sure you got some. You probably have Flame Strike at 5th level, which means you were gonna drop fucking bombs.
Flame Strike is definitely here.
And
it
there
is a
is
thing-
Flame Strike.
It is a thing I could do. I mean, I don't know that I'll take that, but
Dude, real
it,
good.
it does fire and radiant damage. That's pretty good.
It is. It's a fucking good spell.
Yeah.
I don't know like what your whole list is to like compare it to though.
Well, I'm still also trying to pick things that are like at least somewhat thematic. I've got.
We'll make
I
it like
mean,
lightning strike.
if I need to do
type
damage, I
thing.
have multiple ways to do damage. Like I don't need to take Flame Strike to do damage, right? I've got Call Lightning. I can do high level Thunder Waves. I can do Guiding Bolt to do radiant damage. I might actually take either some healing, maybe Dispel or Greater Restoration would probably be really good.
4d6 fire and 4d6 radiant damage though. That's fucking.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah,
So
it is.
I
Holy
think
shit.
Zaya, I had talked to you about rogue archetypes, and I think you said I could take the thief 13th and 17th ones.
Yeah, because Mastermind just kind of seemed very
The
lackluster,
13th and 17th ones for those are like really bad.
incredibly bad. I'm okay with that switch because I don't think it.
It probably won't matter that much in this campaign.
Yeah.
Dude, 5th level cleric spells. Holy shit, dude! You get some good ones here.
Yeah.
Damn.
Commune. You can get greater restoration, mass cure wounds,
Well, Greater Restoration is fucking awesome.
planar binding.
That is fucking strong.
Planar binding is
Planar binding.
If it's the one that I'm thinking it is, it's like another like bomb dropper fucking spell. Because I think you just cast somebody into another plane.
That's hardcore.
Dude, use it on that witch that's gonna show up again. So at 9th level, I get Insightful Manipulator.
Oh, okay, never mind. Planar binding is you can basically attempt to bind a celestial elemental or fey fiend into your service for the duration.
A jewel worth at least 1,000 GP. Nope. That's not gonna happen.
Oh yeah, well witches are also fey creatures. Or actually, they're technically not. Right?
I don't
No,
think they
witches
are.
are fey.
They just do fey magic.
No, they're fey. I think they're classified as fey.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we still don't have the cash to do it, though. What was the other one? I think Gaius or Gas or whatever
Yeah,
the
that's
hell
like
it
a
is.
super charm.
Man, I wish I had Insightful Manipulator when I was talking to Ernst.
Oh yeah.
If you spend at least 1 minute observing or interacting with another creature outside combat, you learn certain information about its capabilities compared to your own. The DM tells you if the creature is your equal, superior, or inferior in regard to 2 of the following characteristics of my choice: intelligence score, wisdom, charisma, or class levels. And at the DM's option, you might also realize you know a piece of the creature's history or one of its personality traits, if it has any.
That's like the same thing I get in Fighter.
Yeah,
You can stack it.
but I think yours is in combat.
No, it's just in general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was it was a fun game though. That was a little sleuthing going on, which is cool.
Yeah.
It was.
I like the idea of the ravens, like causing like mass unrest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was clever. Use the Raven.
So was it the Ravens that caused him to get all riled up, or was it just the fact that
A
we
combination of it. I mean, honestly, it was everything. It was the Barovians being perceived as fools. It was, I mean, Jesus, dude, there was just
It
pretty
was,
much, it was the perfect storm against them.
We had a
essentially.
ringer. We had a ringer.
I was actually hoping that in the house when you were disguised as, or when you were the spider, I don't know how, if it was even possible for you to have actually like turned into a dwarf, picked up the scroll, turned back into a spider, and fucking left.
I could have done that, but I didn't have any more wild shapes.
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
I did
you had
it
already used
earlier.
one earlier that day, huh?
Yep. So I figured this would be at least a good spot to get some reconnaissance in, and that's exactly what I got out of it, and it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, dude,
It
that
ended
was
up working
good.
out. Zaya brought him back to give us one more chance
Yep.
to get the shit from him. I like the just like distracting the dude while I go through his shit.
right?
That worked pretty well. That was key.
I'm almost done here, and I'll be able to post.
Oh boys, I gotta go to bed.
For sure, man.
All right.
Yeah, I should go to bed as well.
So,
I will.
fun playing.
Do you guys want me to just send this stuff across to like an email, or do you guys have a preference on how you want to receive it?
Just post it in the journals, and then we'll take a look at it.
Sure. Yeah. I'll post a reminder in D&D chat or text chat when it's up. I'm gonna just look through some of this stuff, and then I'm pretty much done doing the copy pasting. I just got to clean up some stuff, and you guys can have all week to read both chapters.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Don, you wanna wrap it up here?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I was kind of like digging through my spells and trying to figure out what super sweet 5th level spell I want to take.
Contagion looks super dope too.
Yeah, I was looking at Contagion, but I haven't taken any Necromancy spells, and I don't plan on doing that. It'll be something goody two shoes, Astropi related. Probably something like Greater Restoration or maybe Cure Wounds to make sure we're scaling up our healing output properly as we get into higher levels and people are taking more damage. Like last time we had a rough fight, I literally couldn't keep up with healing because people were taking so much and I didn't have time to do anything else. I think on Yesterhill was fucked, dude. Every action and bonus action was spent like trying to keep people alive. So
I'll probably gonna go that same route the rest
Yeah.
of this game.
yeah, I need to scale my healing up a little bit more.
So before we go and close it out, I have one question. What do you guys? What's the plan next week? Are we doing Argon Vostal?
I think so.
Probably Argynvost, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Get fucking pumped.
I'm
Yeah.
so stoked for that.
Dude.
I'm ready.
Do you have like how much shit is there?
Dude, Argon Vostal is the whole story with Argon Vostal was probably my favorite in the entire book.
I'm pumped, man.
It's gonna be metal as fuck, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. All right.
It's gonna be badass.
I'm so ready.
Mere votes for the witches.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody
Yeah.
who happens to be watching now. We're on every Monday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're watching the VODs, appreciate it. If you're here, if you were here live, thanks again. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Goodbye.